Action is what separates people who dream from people who actually achieve. Every day offers an opportunity to move closer to your goals, but most of us get stuck thinking, planning, or waiting for the perfect moment. That moment rarely comes. What if you could train yourself to act consistently day by day, no matter how small the steps, and see real progress in your life? This audiobook will guide you through exactly how to force yourself to take action every single day. You'll learn how to start your day with purpose, focus on tasks that actually matter, and overcome the excuses and distractions that hold you back. You'll discover ways to push through fear, embrace discomfort, and turn slow results into lasting success. Every chapter gives practical steps you can apply immediately, so you stop just thinking about change and start living it. By the end of this journey, you'll understand how small, consistent actions build momentum, how reflection and adjustment make failure a tool instead of a setback, and how surrounding yourself with the right people can elevate your effort. This is not about motivation that fades in an hour. It's about building habits, discipline, and resilience that carry you forward day after day. If you're ready to take control of your life, stop waiting for perfect conditions, and finally see the results you've been chasing, this audiobook will give you the tools, guidance, and mindset to make it happen. Every word is designed to help you move, act, and grow starting today. Chapter 1. Commit to waking up early and starting your day. Waking up early is not just about setting an alarm or forcing your body to leave the comfort of sleep. It is about taking control of your day before the day controls you. Every day that starts late is a day that begins with hesitation, distraction, and compromise. When you commit to waking up early, you are making a statement to yourself and the world that your time matters and that you are willing to claim it deliberately. This commitment is not just about getting up, it is about starting with intention, with focus, and with a readiness to act that will shape every hour that follows. The morning is the foundation of everything else, and mastering it sets the tone for your productivity, your mindset, and your results. Early mornings offer a quiet that is unmatched. The world is still, there are no distractions, and your mind is capable of clarity. This is the time to plan, to reflect, and to prepare for the challenges ahead. It is a time when your decisions are not rushed, when your energy has not yet been drained by external demands, and when your focus can be fully on what truly matters. Most people underestimate this power, believing they can catch up later, but the reality is that the first hours of your day determine how the rest unfolds. By committing to waking up early, you are taking the first deliberate action to control your life, rather than letting circumstances dictate your pace. The first step in building this habit is understanding that waking up early is a choice. It is not simply about avoiding laziness or forcing yourself through discomfort. It is about recognizing that time is your most valuable resource and deciding that you will not surrender it to distractions or delay. This choice requires clarity about why it matters. You must identify what you want from your mornings. Is it to plan your day with precision, to exercise, to read, to work on personal growth, or to prepare mentally for the day ahead? Understanding your purpose makes the act of waking up early not just an obligation, but a meaningful action. When you have a clear reason, the motivation to rise early is no longer external, but internal, rooted in your desire to improve and grow consistently. Creating a morning routine around this commitment is essential. The alarm is only the beginning. What you do in the first hour after waking defines whether waking up early becomes a tool for success or just another failed attempt at discipline. Begin with small, deliberate actions that signal to your mind and body that the day is starting. Stretching, deep breathing, or a short walk can activate your energy. Hydrating immediately after waking replenishes your body and helps shake off the grogginess of sleep. Taking time to focus your mind, whether through journaling, meditation, or visualization, prepares you to take intentional action rather than reacting to whatever comes your way. These actions are practical ways to reinforce the habit, making early rising a positive, energizing experience rather than a painful chore. Consistency is the foundation of this habit. Waking up early once or twice will not change your life. What creates lasting impact is showing up for yourself every day. The body and mind resist change naturally, and the temptation to sleep longer or delay starting the day will always exist. Discipline is forged in these moments of resistance. It is strengthened by commitment, repeated day after day. The mornings when you feel tired, unmotivated, or unsure are the mornings that define your character. Each time you choose to rise and act, you are reinforcing a pattern of self-mastery. Over time, waking up early shifts from being a struggle to being a standard of excellence, a marker of someone who takes life seriously and values every hour. Preparation the night before is a practical and often overlooked step. Your mornings are influenced by the choices you make in the evening. Going to bed late, indulging in distractions, or neglecting to plan can sabotage your ability to wake up early. Preparing your environment, setting a clear intention for the morning, and ensuring adequate rest all contribute to a smooth start. The night becomes a partner in your morning success. Setting out your clothes, organizing your workspace, and having a clear plan of what you will accomplish the next day reduces friction and makes waking up early easier. The mind and body work best when they are guided by intention, and preparation creates a path of least resistance for action. The mindset around waking up early is just as important as the physical act. It is easy to fall into the trap of seeing mornings as a punishment or a reminder of what you have to do. This perspective undermines the power of the habit. Instead, reframe mornings as an opportunity. They are a time when you can gain a head start, a window when progress is accelerated, and a period to strengthen your mind and body before external demands take over. This mindset shift transforms waking up early from a test of willpower into a deliberate investment in yourself. Every morning becomes a chance to reinforce discipline, build resilience, and create momentum that carries through the entire day. Accountability strengthens this commitment. Telling someone about your intention to wake up early, joining communities with similar goals, or even tracking your consistency reinforces your dedication. The act of holding yourself accountable adds weight to the decision and reduces the temptation to revert to old habits. Tracking your progress visually, marking each day you successfully rise early, creates a sense of achievement and momentum. Accountability is not about pressure, but about alignment with your goals and values. It creates an external reminder that mirrors your internal commitment, ensuring that your intentions are followed by consistent action. The benefits of committing to waking up early extend far beyond productivity. Early mornings create space for reflection, mental clarity, and emotional stability. They allow for uninterrupted focus on what truly matters, whether it is personal development, professional goals, or creative pursuits. Early risers often report higher levels of energy, better decision-making, and a greater sense of control over their lives. This is not coincidental. By taking the first hours of the day seriously, you are establishing a rhythm of intentionality that permeates every action. The discipline learned through this habit spills into other areas of life, creating a foundation for success, resilience, and personal growth. Action is the key. Knowing the benefits, understanding the mindset, and planning the routine are all essential, but none of this matters without the act of waking up and starting. Action turns knowledge into transformation. It is in the simple act of opening your eyes, getting out of bed, and beginning your day deliberately that change occurs. This action must be immediate and decisive. Hesitation in the morning sets a tone of indecision that can last throughout the day. By forcing yourself to rise and act, you establish a pattern of decisiveness, clarity, and momentum that is difficult to interrupt. Obstacles will arise, and resistance is natural. There will be mornings when the body is tired, when motivation is low, or when excuses feel compelling. These are the moments that test your commitment. Discipline is strengthened by facing these challenges rather than avoiding them. When you persist through discomfort, when you rise early despite resistance, you are not just building a habit, you are building character. The ability to act despite feeling unready is the essence of personal growth. Each morning that you choose action over comfort adds another layer of resilience that compounds over time, creating a life of consistency and achievement. The first days of committing to early rising will be the hardest. It will require mental toughness, practical adjustments, and self-compassion. Recognize that mastery does not happen overnight. It is cultivated through repeated effort and consistent application. Small wins accumulate, reinforcing the habit and boosting confidence. Celebrate the simple act of waking up and starting your day, acknowledging that each effort is a step toward greater self-mastery. These early victories are the foundation of long-term transformation and serve as reminders that progress is earned through persistence and intentional action. The rhythm of early mornings also encourages reflection on priorities. When you begin your day before the noise and demands of the world intrude, you have space to consider what truly matters. You can evaluate your goals, assess your progress, and set intentions with clarity. This reflective practice is a cornerstone of effective self-improvement. It allows you to focus on what aligns with your values and to discard what is unnecessary. By committing to waking up early, you are not only taking control of your time but also of your direction, purpose, and growth. Integration into daily life is the final step. Waking up early is not an isolated practice. It is a pillar of a larger framework of disciplined living. The energy, focus, and clarity gained in the morning should be carried into work, relationships, health, and personal projects. The habit becomes a signal to yourself and to others that you are deliberate, proactive, and committed to growth. Consistency reinforces identity. When you consistently rise early and start your day with intention, you become someone who acts, achieves, and lives purposefully. Your mornings are no longer a routine, but a reflection of your commitment to mastery and self-improvement. In conclusion, committing to waking up early is not about following trends, imitating successful people, or proving something to anyone. It is about taking ownership of your time, prioritizing your growth, and starting each day with deliberate action. The habit requires discipline, preparation, mindset, and consistent effort. It demands action, accountability, and resilience. The mornings when you act despite discomfort, when you rise with clarity and purpose, set the foundation for everything else you achieve. This commitment is transformative because it creates a rhythm of intentional living, builds mental and emotional strength, and reinforces the habit of taking consistent action. By committing to waking up early and starting your day intentionally, you take control of your life in a tangible way, creating momentum, clarity, and energy that carries through every decision and every challenge. This is the first step toward mastering yourself, achieving your goals, and living a life defined by action rather than reaction. Each morning is an opportunity to reinforce your commitment, strengthen your discipline, and take one more decisive step toward becoming the person you are capable of being. There is no better time to begin than now, because the action of starting your day early compounds into every area of your life, transforming ordinary days into extraordinary progress and ordinary habits into lasting excellence. Chapter 2: Focus on completing small tasks before larger ones. Action multiplies when you focus on completing small tasks before larger ones, and this simple shift can transform every aspect of your day. The truth is that most people waste enormous amounts of energy staring at the mountain of work ahead, overwhelmed by the enormity of what they need to achieve. The mind resists large tasks because they seem abstract, difficult, or uncertain. When you focus on smaller, concrete actions first, you create momentum that drives every subsequent choice. This is not about avoiding big challenges. It is about preparing yourself mentally and emotionally to tackle them with clarity, energy, and confidence. Every small task you complete builds a sense of accomplishment, reinforces your discipline, and primes your brain to take on larger challenges without hesitation. Starting small does not mean thinking small. It means thinking strategically, harnessing the power of focus, and making progress consistent and measurable. Small tasks are deceptively powerful because they offer immediate feedback. When you cross something off a list, even a minor task, your brain experiences a release of dopamine that signals achievement. This chemical reinforcement motivates you to continue acting rather than procrastinating. The effect compounds. A day that begins with small wins produces an entirely different rhythm than a day that starts with resistance and uncertainty. The psychological impact of finishing something tangible cannot be overstated. Each completed task, no matter how insignificant it appears, confirms to yourself that action is possible and that effort produces results and that progress is continuous. Momentum begins in these small victories and expands exponentially as the day unfolds. By the time you reach larger projects, you are no longer facing them with dread, but with readiness and confidence, supported by a foundation of completed actions. The principle applies to every domain of life. At work, finishing minor emails or administrative duties first clears mental space for creative or complex problem solving later. At home, completing small chores before major projects reduces clutter, stress, and mental resistance. In personal development, committing to brief exercises, journaling, or reflection before tackling deeper challenges establishes a rhythm of discipline. The key is sequencing tasks in a way that creates forward motion. Completing small, necessary steps is the lever that amplifies effort. It ensures that energy is spent productively and prevents burnout caused by attempting to tackle everything simultaneously. Focusing on small tasks transforms your energy from scattered and anxious to directed and efficient. Clarity is essential in identifying which tasks are small and which are large. Small tasks are those that can be completed quickly, provide immediate results, or prepare you for bigger actions. Large tasks are those that require multiple steps, extended focus, or higher levels of creativity and problem solving. Begin your day by listing tasks according to size and simplicity. Take deliberate action on the smaller items first, finishing them completely before moving to the next. Avoid dividing focus between multiple large tasks at once, which can create frustration and diminish progress. By mastering this sequence, you gain psychological leverage that makes complex tasks less intimidating. Completing small actions first reduces the mental clutter that can paralyze decision-making and opens up space for higher-level thinking and execution. Action must be intentional. Do not mistake business for progress. Completing trivial tasks without strategy can feel productive, but ultimately wastes time. Select tasks that directly contribute to your goals, your responsibilities, or the momentum of your day. Each small action should serve a purpose and bring you closer to meaningful results. The discipline of this focus is what separates consistent achievers from those who drift. Success is not about energy alone, it is about the intelligent application of energy. Every small task completed is an investment in clarity, confidence, and forward motion. Intentional action converts ordinary effort into tangible, measurable progress. Time management becomes effortless when small tasks are prioritized. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by what seems unmanageable, breaking your day into bite-sized actions creates structure. The mind thrives on structure because it reduces uncertainty and stress. Each completed task acts as a signal that you are moving forward, giving you the courage to approach larger challenges without hesitation. A clear sequence of action builds discipline automatically. When momentum is established, larger tasks are no longer intimidating. They become the natural next step after small wins. The process of sequencing from simple to complex, easy to challenging, is a principle grounded in both psychology and practical results. It is how humans naturally build competence, confidence, and resilience. Resistance is natural when attempting large tasks without preparation. The brain perceives uncertainty and difficulty as threats, triggering avoidance or procrastination. Small tasks act as a bridge over this resistance. By completing manageable actions first, you prime the mind to approach bigger challenges with less friction. This creates a state of flow where focus, energy, and determination align. The momentum of small wins fuels motivation, making action habitual rather than forced. Habits are built on repetition and reinforcement. Completing small tasks first establishes this cycle of success, where effort leads to accomplishment, accomplishment leads to confidence, and confidence leads to sustained action. The compounding effect transforms ordinary productivity into extraordinary results over time. Discipline is reinforced through repetition. The consistent completion of small tasks shapes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who acts, someone who finishes, someone who follows through. Each day becomes a statement of capability and commitment. This identity, once reinforced through repeated action, eliminates doubt and hesitation. It replaces excuses with solutions, avoidance with engagement, and uncertainty with confidence. Discipline is not born in grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs. It is cultivated through consistent, deliberate action. The cumulative effect of completing small tasks becomes a cornerstone of lifelong effectiveness and resilience. Practical application requires planning and prioritization. Begin by identifying the essential small actions that prepare the ground for larger tasks. For example, gathering materials, reviewing resources, making brief outlines, or clearing minor obstacles can dramatically simplify subsequent effort. Organize these tasks in a logical order to maximize efficiency. Avoid multitasking. Each small task deserves focus and completion before moving to the next. The tangible sense of accomplishment reinforces forward momentum. This approach is not abstract theory. It is actionable strategy that has been employed by high achievers across fields. It converts intention into measurable progress, ensuring that every action matters and contributes to overall objectives. Awareness and reflection enhance effectiveness. At the end of each day, review what small tasks were completed and how they influenced larger outcomes. Analyze the relationship between your focused actions and progress toward broader goals. This reflection reinforces learning, highlights effective strategies, and illuminates areas for improvement. Awareness transforms routine into mastery. It ensures that your efforts are not mechanical but deliberate, directed, and adaptive. Every small task completed with intention becomes a building block for growth, a lesson in execution, and a step toward greater achievement. Emotional engagement strengthens action. Small tasks, though simple, often carry subtle rewards. The satisfaction of completion, the sense of control, and the reduction of mental clutter all generate positive reinforcement. Paying attention to these emotional signals enhances motivation and creates a positive feedback loop. Action is amplified when the mind and emotions are aligned. Recognizing the psychological impact of small wins transforms mundane actions into deliberate acts of empowerment. Each completed task becomes a reminder of capability, resilience, and forward motion, reinforcing a mindset of proactive achievement. Focus and attention are critical. Completing small tasks requires discipline in directing energy where it matters most. Distractions, interruptions, or wandering attention dilute effectiveness. Training the mind to concentrate on one task at a time until it is completed strengthens cognitive control and builds endurance for larger challenges. Focused action is a skill cultivated through repetition, reflection, and intentional practice. Small tasks provide the perfect training ground, allowing the mind to develop precision, patience, and persistence. Each completed action is a reinforcement of focus, preparing the brain for increasingly complex challenges without fatigue or overwhelm. The long-term impact of prioritizing small tasks is exponential. A person who consistently completes minor actions builds a foundation of reliability, competence, and momentum. Over time, this habit scales, enabling the execution of larger projects with clarity and confidence. The compounding effect is not theoretical, it is the direct result of deliberate action, disciplined focus, and the consistent alignment of effort with purpose. What seems insignificant today becomes the structural support of tomorrow's achievements. Small wins accumulate, confidence grows, and capability expands, creating a trajectory of continuous improvement and measurable progress. Mastery is forged in these repeated actions, not in sporadic bursts of energy or inspiration. This approach also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable, and large tasks often come with unforeseen challenges. By practicing the discipline of completing smaller actions first, you build the mental stamina to navigate difficulties without losing focus. Momentum acts as a buffer against setbacks. The habit of action becomes a protective framework that enables recovery, adaptation, and continued progress. Small tasks teach persistence, patience, and strategic thinking. They condition the mind to act regardless of external conditions, reinforcing self-efficacy and confidence. The habit of starting small but finishing consistently becomes a defining characteristic of personal and professional success. In conclusion, focusing on completing small tasks before larger ones is a transformative strategy that multiplies action, builds discipline, and creates momentum. Each small task is an investment in clarity, confidence, and capability. Action becomes habitual, effort becomes strategic, and results become tangible. Momentum created by small wins fuels larger achievements, resilience, and mastery. The practice requires intentionality, focus, and reflection, but offers exponential returns. Every completed task reinforces identity, reinforces commitment, and strengthens the mindset necessary for sustained success. The habit is simple in concept but profound in effect. Action begins small, grows steadily, and compounds into extraordinary results. By consistently completing small tasks first, you take control of your day, your energy, and your life. Each small win becomes a building block for larger victories, transforming ordinary effort into exceptional outcomes and ordinary days into powerful steps toward a purposeful life. Chapter 30: Prioritize your goals and eliminate unnecessary distractions. Clarity creates power, and the moment you decide what truly matters, your energy stops leaking in every direction. Most people feel busy yet remain unfulfilled because their attention is scattered across tasks that do not move their life forward. Days pass filled with activity but little progress. This happens when goals are vague and distractions are allowed to dominate attention. Prioritizing your goals is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters and letting go of everything else. When you choose your priorities deliberately, you stop reacting to life and start directing it. This decision changes how you think, how you act, and how you experience every single day. The mind cannot focus deeply on many things at once. When everything feels important, nothing truly is. Prioritization begins with honesty. You must be willing to look at your life and admit where your time is going. Many distractions disguise themselves as responsibilities. Endless messages, unnecessary meetings, constant updates, and habits that fill time without adding value slowly erode your ability to concentrate. These distractions do not arrive loudly. They slip in quietly and steal your attention piece by piece. Eliminating them requires awareness and courage. Awareness to recognize what is draining your focus, and courage to remove it even when it feels uncomfortable or socially expected. Goals must be clear and specific to guide action. A vague desire produces vague effort. When you know exactly what you are working toward, decisions become easier. You no longer debate whether something deserves your attention because you measure it against your priorities. Ask yourself what outcomes truly matter this month, this week, and today. Strip away ambitions that sound impressive but do not align with your values. A focused life is not smaller, it is stronger. Concentrating on fewer goals allows you to invest fully, apply sustained effort, and achieve meaningful results, rather than spreading yourself thin across countless directions. Distractions thrive in environments without structure. When your day lacks intention, anything can claim your attention. Creating boundaries is essential. This means setting specific times for focused work and protecting those periods from interruption. It means limiting exposure to digital noise that fragments attention and fuels restlessness. The goal is not isolation but control. You decide when to engage and when to withdraw. This discipline preserves mental energy and enhances clarity. Each boundary you establish strengthens your ability to concentrate and reinforces respect for your own time. The act of saying no is one of the most powerful tools for prioritization. Saying no is not rejection, it is alignment. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something meaningful. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointment or conflict, yet constant agreement leads to exhaustion and resentment. When you say no with intention, you create space for what truly matters. This space is where focus grows, progress accelerates, and satisfaction deepens. Prioritization demands trade-offs, and accepting this reality is a sign of maturity and self-mastery. Attention is a finite resource. Once it is spent, it cannot be recovered. Treating attention with respect changes how you approach tasks and commitments. Before engaging in any activity, ask whether it contributes directly to your goals or merely occupies time. This simple question acts as a filter, preventing unnecessary distractions from gaining entry. Over time, This habit sharpens discernment and builds confidence in your choices. You begin to trust your judgment because it is guided by purpose rather than impulse. Eliminating distractions also involves managing internal noise. Thoughts of comparison, worry, and overthinking pull attention away from the present task. Training the mind to return to what is important requires patience and practice. When distractions arise, acknowledge them without judgment and redirect focus deliberately. This process strengthens mental discipline. Focus is not the absence of distraction, it is the ability to return to priority repeatedly. Each time you do this, you reinforce control over your attention and increase effectiveness. Prioritization is not static. Goals evolve as circumstances change. Regular reflection ensures alignment remains intact. Set aside time to review progress and reassess priorities. This reflection keeps efforts relevant and prevents stagnation. It also highlights distractions that may have crept back into your routine. Adjustments made early prevent wasted effort and preserve momentum. A disciplined review process transforms prioritization into a living practice rather than a one-time decision. Energy follows focus. When attention is scattered, energy dissipates. When focus is concentrated, energy intensifies. This is why prioritization often leads to increased motivation. Working on what matters generates a sense of purpose that fuels action. Distractions drain motivation because they offer little reward. By eliminating them, you reclaim energy and direct it toward meaningful pursuits. This shift enhances resilience, making it easier to persist through challenges and setbacks. The environment plays a significant role in shaping focus. Physical clutter mirrors mental clutter. Organizing your surroundings reduces visual distractions and supports concentration. Simple actions like clearing a workspace, limiting open tabs, or choosing a quiet setting for important tasks can dramatically improve focus. These adjustments signal to the mind that attention is valued and protected. Over time, a supportive environment becomes an ally in maintaining discipline and clarity. Social distractions require careful management. Not every conversation, request, or opinion deserves immediate attention. Establishing clear communication boundaries prevents constant interruption. Let others know when you are unavailable and honor those commitments to yourself. Respecting your own focus teaches others to do the same. This is not about isolation, but about intentional engagement. When you choose when and how to connect, interactions become more meaningful and less draining. Prioritizing goals also means aligning daily actions with long-term vision. Each task should contribute to a larger purpose. This alignment transforms routine actions into meaningful steps. Even small efforts gain significance when connected to clear goals. This perspective sustains motivation during repetitive or challenging tasks. You understand why the effort matters, making it easier to stay committed and focused. Discipline is reinforced through consistent prioritization. Each day you choose focus over distraction, you strengthen self-control. This discipline compounds, influencing other areas of life. Decision-making improves, confidence grows, and stress decreases. A focused life feels calmer because energy is directed rather than scattered. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions, but guided by purpose. The cost of distraction is often underestimated. It erodes creativity, delays progress, and increases frustration. Recognizing this cost motivates change. When you see distractions as obstacles rather than harmless habits, eliminating them becomes a priority. This awareness fosters intentional living. You begin to protect your time and attention as valuable assets rather than expendable resources. In moments of temptation, return to your priorities. Remind yourself why you chose them. Visualize the outcomes you are working toward. This mental rehearsal reinforces commitment and counters impulse. Over time, prioritization becomes intuitive. You naturally gravitate toward actions that align with your goals and away from those that do not. Ultimately, prioritizing goals and eliminating distractions is an act of self-respect. It signals that your time, energy, and potential matter. This practice empowers you to live deliberately rather than reactively. Each focused day builds momentum toward long-term success. The discipline required is real, but the rewards are profound. Clarity replaces confusion. Progress replaces stagnation. Purpose replaces noise. By choosing what matters and removing what does not, you reclaim control over your life. Focus becomes a habit, discipline becomes natural, and action becomes aligned with intention. This is how meaningful progress is made, not through constant effort in every direction, but through deliberate action guided by clear priorities. Every moment of focus strengthens your path forward. Every distraction eliminated creates space for growth. This commitment to prioritization is not restrictive, it is liberating. It frees you to invest fully in what truly matters and to build a life defined by intention, clarity, and consistent action. Chapter 4: Break big tasks into achievable steps every day. Progress accelerates the moment you stop fearing the size of the task and start controlling the size of your next action. Big goals intimidate the mind because they appear distant, complex, and demanding all at once. When something feels too large, the brain delays, hesitates, or looks for escape. This is not weakness, it is how the mind protects itself from overload. The solution is not more motivation but better structure. When you break big tasks into achievable steps every day, you turn pressure into clarity and confusion into direction. Action becomes possible because the mind can finally see where to begin. Large tasks often fail not because they are impossible, but because they are undefined. A goal without clear steps feels like standing at the base of a mountain without a path. Breaking a task down creates that path. It replaces uncertainty with order. Each small step becomes a clear instruction rather than an overwhelming demand. This shift immediately reduces mental resistance. You stop asking when it will be done and start asking what comes next. That single change moves you from delay into action. The brain responds best to tasks that feel achievable. When a task is clearly defined and limited in scope, it invites engagement instead of avoidance. This is why daily steps are so powerful. They transform ambition into execution. You no longer need to summon extraordinary willpower. You simply need to complete the next reasonable action. That action builds momentum, and momentum changes how you feel about the entire goal. What once felt heavy begins to feel manageable. Breaking tasks down is an act of discipline, not avoidance. Some people believe that working in small steps means lacking ambition. In reality, it is a sign of maturity and strategic thinking. Results come from consistent execution, not dramatic effort. Daily progress compounds quietly. Each completed step strengthens confidence and reinforces the habit of follow-through. Over time, these steps accumulate into outcomes that once seemed unreachable. Clarity is essential in this process. You must define what completion looks like at every stage. A vague step creates the same resistance as a vague goal. Each action should be specific and measurable. Instead of planning to work on something, decide exactly what will be done and when. Precision removes hesitation. It tells the mind exactly where to focus. This clarity conserves energy and prevents the mental fatigue that comes from constant decision-making. Daily steps also protect against burnout. Large tasks approached all at once demand sustained intensity that few people can maintain. By dividing effort into daily actions, you create a sustainable rhythm. This rhythm allows progress without exhaustion. It respects human limits while still honoring ambition. Consistency replaces intensity, and consistency always wins in the long run. The goal becomes less about pushing harder and more about showing up regularly. Each day should begin with identifying the single most useful step you can take toward your larger goal. Not the hardest step, not the most impressive one, but the most effective. This keeps effort aligned with progress. Some days the step may feel small, even unimpressive. That does not matter. What matters is movement. Forward motion, no matter how modest, maintains momentum and keeps the goal alive in your daily life. Breaking tasks down also improves focus. When the mind knows exactly what it needs to work on, distractions lose their power. Attention narrows naturally. You are no longer juggling multiple demands in your head. You are completing one defined action at a time. This focus enhances quality and speed. Work becomes cleaner, decisions become easier, and progress becomes visible. The sense of control that emerges from this process strengthens confidence and reduces anxiety. There will be days when motivation feels low. On those days, small steps are not just helpful, they are essential. When energy is limited, Completing a manageable action preserves the habit of progress. It keeps the chain unbroken. Discipline is not proven on days of high energy, but on days of resistance. Small steps ensure that even difficult days contribute to long-term success. Breaking tasks down also creates opportunities for adjustment. When you work in daily steps, you can evaluate progress regularly and refine your approach. If something is not working, you notice early. Corrections become easier and less costly. This flexibility prevents wasted effort and keeps you aligned with your goals. Large tasks tackled all at once often hide problems until it is too late to adjust efficiently. Emotional resistance often fades once action begins. The fear surrounding a big task is usually strongest before starting. When you engage with a small step, the fear loses intensity. Action brings clarity. You discover that the task is not as overwhelming as imagined. This experience trains the mind to trust action over hesitation. Each time you break a task down and complete a step, you weaken the habit of avoidance and strengthen the habit of engagement. This approach builds reliability. You become someone who moves projects forward steadily rather than someone who waits for perfect conditions. Reliability creates self-trust. When you trust yourself to act daily, confidence grows naturally. You no longer rely on mood or inspiration. You rely on structure and commitment. This shift is fundamental to long-term success. Breaking tasks into steps also improves time management. Large tasks often consume more time than expected because they lack clear boundaries. Defined steps have natural limits. They fit into daily schedules without overwhelming other responsibilities. This makes it easier to balance multiple priorities while still making progress on major goals. Time stops feeling scarce because effort is organized and intentional. The practice also sharpens problem-solving skills. As you move through steps, you encounter challenges one at a time. Each challenge becomes a solvable problem rather than an obstacle that halts progress. This builds resilience and adaptability. You learn to respond to difficulties with calm analysis instead of frustration. Over time, this mindset carries into other areas of life, improving decision-making and emotional control. Large achievements are built quietly through repeated small actions. History is shaped by those who understood this truth and applied it consistently. They did not wait for perfect clarity or ideal circumstances. They broke their work into steps and acted daily. This is not glamorous, but it is effective. The simplicity of the method is what makes it powerful. Every day you break a big task into a clear step. You reinforce a philosophy of action. You teach yourself that progress is created through structure and consistency. This philosophy reduces fear and increases confidence. It replaces overwhelm with order. The mind begins to associate big goals with steady progress rather than pressure. The habit of daily steps transforms how you view challenges. Instead of asking whether something is possible, you ask how to move forward today. This question is always answerable. There is always a next step, no matter how small. Focusing on that step keeps you grounded in action rather than lost in speculation. In the end, breaking big tasks into achievable steps every day is about respect for reality. It acknowledges how the mind works, how energy fluctuates, and how progress is truly made. It removes drama from achievement and replaces it with discipline. Each step completed is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each day of action strengthens the habit of execution. When you commit to this approach, big goals stop being sources of stress and start becoming sources of direction. You move forward with confidence because you know exactly what to do next. Progress becomes predictable and success becomes a matter of persistence rather than luck. This is how lasting change is built, not through bursts of effort, but through deliberate steps taken every single day. Chapter 15. Train your mind to embrace discomfort for growth. Growth begins the moment you stop running from discomfort and decide to stand steady inside it. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid feeling uneasy, challenged, or uncertain, believing comfort is the reward and discomfort is the enemy. This belief quietly limits potential. Discomfort is not a signal that something is wrong. It is often proof that something important is happening. When you train your mind to embrace discomfort, you stop being controlled by fear, hesitation, and avoidance. You begin to act even when conditions are not perfect, and that ability alone separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. The mind is designed to protect you, not to push you forward. It prefers what is familiar because familiarity feels safe. Anything new, demanding, or uncertain triggers resistance. This resistance shows up as excuses, delay, overthinking, or self-doubt. Understanding this mechanism is crucial because it removes shame from the experience. Feeling discomfort does not mean you are weak. It means you are stepping beyond what you already know. Growth requires exposure to challenge, and challenge always feels uncomfortable before it becomes manageable. Training the mind begins with changing how you interpret discomfort. Instead of labeling it as a problem, see it as a signal of progress. When effort feels heavy, when emotions feel stretched, when confidence feels shaky, remind yourself that these sensations accompany learning and adaptation. The mind learns through experience, not reassurance. Each time you stay present in discomfort rather than escaping it, you teach your nervous system that challenge is survivable. Over time, the intensity decreases and resilience increases. Discomfort often appears before action, not after. Many people wait to feel ready, confident, or calm before acting. This waiting delays growth indefinitely. Readiness is not a prerequisite for action. Action creates readiness. When you act despite discomfort, the mind recalibrates. It learns that discomfort does not equal danger. This lesson weakens fear and strengthens agency. The habit of acting while uncomfortable builds self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of discipline. Small, intentional exposure is the most effective way to train this skill. You do not need extreme challenges to build resilience. Choose daily actions that stretch you slightly beyond your comfort zone. This might mean initiating a difficult conversation, maintaining focus when distractions pull at you, or continuing effort when motivation fades. Each of these moments is a training session for the mind. Consistent exposure creates familiarity, and familiarity reduces resistance. Avoidance reinforces fear. Every time you escape discomfort, the mind learns that avoidance works. This strengthens hesitation and makes future challenges feel heavier. The opposite is also true. Each time you face discomfort calmly, you weaken its power. You show yourself that you can endure temporary unease without losing control. This realization builds emotional strength and steadiness. You become less reactive and more deliberate. The body often reacts to discomfort before the mind catches up. Tightness, restlessness, or fatigue can arise when pushing boundaries. Rather than fighting these sensations, observe them. Breathe steadily and continue with the task. Physical discomfort often fades once the body adapts. This practice teaches patience and presence. It reinforces the idea that sensations are temporary and manageable. Over time, tolerance increases, and tasks that once felt difficult become routine. Mental discomfort often manifests as doubt or negative self-talk. The inner voice may question ability or predict failure. Treat these thoughts as background noise rather than commands. You do not need to argue with them or eliminate them. Continue acting while they exist. Action reduces their influence. The mind learns through evidence, and evidence comes from completed effort, not internal debate. Discomfort is closely tied to growth because it signals learning. Muscles grow by resisting weight. Skills develop through repetition and correction. Character strengthens through challenge and responsibility. Removing discomfort removes the stimulus for improvement. Embracing it keeps you engaged with reality and progress. This perspective shifts effort from punishment to purpose. Daily discipline benefits greatly from discomfort training. Discipline requires doing what is necessary even when it feels inconvenient. By practicing tolerance for discomfort, discipline becomes less dependent on mood. You stop negotiating with yourself and start acting from commitment. This consistency builds momentum and confidence. Over time, discipline feels less forced because the mind no longer treats effort as a threat. Growth also requires emotional discomfort. Taking responsibility, admitting mistakes, and confronting limitations are uncomfortable experiences. Avoiding them delays maturity. Facing them builds honesty and strength. Emotional resilience develops when you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable emotions without escaping or numbing them. This practice increases self-awareness and emotional control. The reward for embracing discomfort is not immediate pleasure, but long-term capability. Each challenge faced expands your capacity. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Confidence grows quietly through evidence of endurance. You begin to trust yourself in uncertain situations. This trust reduces anxiety and increases effectiveness. There will be moments when discomfort feels persistent. Growth is not linear, and some challenges require sustained effort. During these periods, remind yourself that discomfort does not mean failure. It often means refinement. Stay patient and consistent. Focus on effort rather than outcome. Effort is within your control, and controlling effort builds stability. Training the mind also involves recovery. Embracing discomfort does not mean constant strain. Rest and reflection allow integration of learning. Balance challenge with recovery to prevent burnout. Growth thrives in cycles of effort and renewal. Recognizing this rhythm maintains sustainability. Over time, your relationship with discomfort changes. It becomes familiar rather than threatening. You recognize it as part of progress. This familiarity reduces fear and increases willingness to act. The mind becomes more flexible and adaptive. You respond to challenges with calm determination rather than avoidance. This practice extends beyond tasks and goals. It influences how you handle uncertainty, criticism, and change. You become less reactive and more grounded. Life feels less overwhelming because you trust your ability to endure and adapt. This confidence is earned through repeated exposure, not positive thinking. Ultimately, training your mind to embrace discomfort is an act of self-leadership. It is choosing growth over ease and responsibility over avoidance. Each moment of discomfort faced strengthens your capacity to act. Each challenge endured adds to your resilience. Over time, this practice reshapes identity. You become someone who moves forward regardless of conditions. Discomfort will never disappear completely, and it does not need to. Its presence keeps you engaged with growth. When you stop fearing it, you unlock a deeper level of freedom. You act based on values rather than feelings. You progress based on commitment rather than comfort. This is how lasting strength is built, not by avoiding difficulty, but by meeting it with steady resolve and purposeful action. Chapter 6c. Push yourself to finish what you start consistently. Finishing what you start is the moment discipline turns into power and intention turns into results. Many people begin with excitement, energy, and hope, but only a few carry their effort to completion. Starting feels good because it feeds the ego. Finishing feels heavy because it demands responsibility. The gap between the two is where growth is decided. When you push yourself to finish consistently, you build a reputation with yourself that you can be trusted. That self-trust becomes the backbone of confidence, resilience, and long-term success. The mind loves novelty. New goals feel exciting because they promise change without requiring proof. As soon as the novelty fades and effort becomes routine, resistance appears. This is where most people quit, not because the task is impossible, but because it no longer provides emotional stimulation. Understanding this pattern is critical. Quitting is rarely about inability, it is about discomfort, boredom, or doubt. When you recognize this, you stop taking resistance personally and start responding to it strategically. Finishing is a skill, not a personality trait. It can be trained through consistent behavior. Each time you complete something you started, you reinforce a pattern of follow-through. Each time you abandon a task, you reinforce the opposite. The mind learns from evidence, not promises. If you repeatedly leave things unfinished, the mind begins to expect inconsistency. This weakens confidence and increases hesitation. When you complete tasks regularly, even small ones, the mind learns that effort leads to closure. This expectation strengthens focus and persistence. Consistency matters more than intensity. Finishing does not require dramatic effort or constant motivation. It requires showing up repeatedly until the task is done. Some days progress will feel slow. Some days enthusiasm will be absent. These moments test commitment. Commitment is not a feeling, it is a decision you honor regardless of mood. When you act from commitment, you free yourself from dependence on motivation. Action becomes stable rather than emotional. Unfinished tasks create mental noise. They linger in the background, draining attention and energy. This mental clutter increases stress and reduces clarity. Completing tasks clears this noise. It restores mental space and sharpens focus. The relief that comes from finishing is not just emotional, it is cognitive. You think better when fewer things are left unresolved. This clarity improves decision-making and productivity across all areas of life. Pushing yourself to finish also builds patience. Many tasks require sustained effort over time. This patience is a form of strength. It teaches you to delay gratification and tolerate effort without immediate reward. These qualities are essential for meaningful achievement. The ability to persist when results are not yet visible separates those who grow steadily from those who chase short-term satisfaction. Finishing teaches accountability. When you start something, you create an obligation to yourself. Honoring that obligation strengthens integrity. Integrity is not about perfection, it is about alignment between intention and action. Each completed task reinforces this alignment. Over time, integrity becomes part of identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. This identity influences future behavior, making consistency more natural. Resistance often increases near the end of a task. Fatigue, doubt, or fear of judgment can appear. The finish line brings its own challenges. Some people abandon tasks close to completion because finishing exposes results to evaluation. Recognizing this pattern helps you push through it. Completion is not about proving perfection, it is about honoring effort. Imperfect completion is far more valuable than endless preparation. Break finishing into manageable expectations. You do not need to complete everything at once. Progress toward completion matters. Set clear criteria for what done means. This prevents endless tweaking and overthinking. Clarity reduces hesitation. When you know what completion looks like, you are more likely to reach it. Ambiguity keeps tasks open. Definition closes them. Daily discipline supports consistency. Regular effort, even in small amounts, keeps tasks moving forward. This steady rhythm reduces overwhelm and maintains momentum. When you commit to daily progress, finishing becomes inevitable rather than forced. Momentum carries you through periods of low energy. This is how long-term projects are completed without burnout. Self-respect grows through completion. Each finished task is evidence that you value your word. This respect strengthens confidence and reduces self-doubt. You stop questioning whether you can handle responsibility because you have proof. Confidence built this way is stable because it is grounded in experience, not belief. Finishing also sharpens focus. Knowing that you will see tasks through encourages careful selection. You become more intentional about what you start. This selectivity improves quality and alignment with goals. You stop scattering energy across too many commitments. Fewer starts lead to more finishes, and more finishes lead to greater impact. Setbacks will occur. Some tasks will take longer than expected. Others may need adjustment. Finishing does not mean rigid persistence, it means adaptive commitment. If circumstances change, revise your approach, not your dedication. Flexibility combined with consistency creates resilience. You stay committed to outcomes while adjusting methods. Reward completion appropriately. Acknowledge the effort it took to finish. This reinforces positive behavior. The reward does not need to be large. Recognition is enough. This practice strengthens motivation and builds a positive association with completion. Over time, finishing consistently changes how you experience challenges. Tasks feel less intimidating because you trust your ability to see them through. Fear diminishes because experience replaces speculation. You approach goals with calm determination rather than anxious excitement. This emotional stability enhances performance. Finishing what you start also influences how others perceive you. Reliability builds trust. People respect those who deliver. Opportunities often come to those who demonstrate consistency. While external validation should not be the goal, it is a natural outcome of dependable behavior. Ultimately, pushing yourself to finish consistently is an act of self-leadership. It is choosing responsibility over comfort and follow through over impulse. Each completion strengthens discipline and builds momentum. Progress becomes predictable. Growth becomes steady. The habit of finishing reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who completes. This shift affects every area of life. Goals become achievable. Effort becomes meaningful. Confidence becomes grounded. Finishing is not glamorous, but it is transformative. It turns plans into results and effort into evidence. Each completed task is a step toward mastery. Each act of follow-through strengthens character. This is how lasting success is built, not through constant beginnings, but through consistent completion driven by discipline, patience, and self-respect. Chapter 70: Challenge procrastination by setting strict personal deadlines daily. Urgency sharpens the mind, and the moment you set a firm deadline, you take back control from delay and indecision. Procrastination thrives in open time, vague plans, and flexible intentions. When there is no clear endpoint, the mind convinces itself that action can wait. This waiting slowly becomes a habit, and the habit quietly shapes identity. Challenging procrastination is not about fighting yourself with anger or guilt. It is about using structure to guide behavior. Strict personal deadlines create that structure. They transform intention into action and convert time from an enemy into an ally. The human mind responds to pressure, not wishful thinking. Without a deadline, tasks expand, energy leaks, and focus dissolves. A deadline compresses attention. It tells the mind that action is required now, not later. This sense of immediacy cuts through overthinking and hesitation. You stop debating when to start and begin deciding how to finish. Deadlines create clarity by forcing prioritization. When time is limited, only what matters survives. Procrastination is rarely about laziness. It is often rooted in fear, uncertainty, or perfectionism. The mind delays to avoid discomfort or judgment. Setting a strict personal deadline bypasses these internal debates. It removes the option of endless preparation. You shift from waiting to acting. This shift reduces anxiety because action provides feedback, while delay fuels imagination and worry. Personal deadlines work best when they are specific and non-negotiable. Vague timeframes invite excuses. A clear deadline demands respect. Treat your own deadlines with the same seriousness you would give to an external obligation. This builds self-respect and discipline. When you honor your word to yourself, confidence grows. Each honored deadline strengthens trust in your ability to follow through. Daily deadlines are particularly effective because they create rhythm. They prevent tasks from lingering and accumulating. Each day becomes a closed loop rather than an open one. This closure reduces mental clutter and stress. You end the day knowing what was completed rather than what was postponed. This sense of completion improves sleep, focus, and emotional stability. Strict deadlines also train decisiveness. When time is limited, you cannot endlessly analyze options. You choose and move forward. This practice sharpens judgment and builds confidence in decision-making. Over time, you learn that most decisions do not require perfect information. Progress comes from timely action, not flawless planning. Accountability is essential. A deadline without consequence is easily ignored. Create personal consequences that matter to you. This could be adjusting your schedule, reducing leisure time, or tracking missed deadlines visibly. The goal is not punishment but reinforcement. Consequences remind the mind that commitments have weight. This weight encourages follow-through. Break work into segments that fit within your deadlines. Large tasks without structure invite delay. Smaller, time-bound actions feel manageable and urgent. This combination reduces resistance and increases focus. Each completed segment builds momentum. Momentum weakens procrastination because action becomes habitual rather than forced. Distractions are procrastination's allies. When deadlines are strict, distractions lose appeal. You become more selective with attention. This selectivity improves efficiency and quality of work. Time pressure forces alignment with priorities. You naturally eliminate non-essential activities because they threaten completion. Perfectionism often masks procrastination. The desire to produce flawless work delays progress. Deadlines counter this tendency by emphasizing completion over perfection. Finishing within time constraints teaches that progress matters more than ideal outcomes. This lesson builds resilience and adaptability. You learn to improve through iteration rather than delay. Emotional resistance often peaks before starting. A deadline shortens this phase. When time is limited, the cost of delay becomes visible. You act to avoid discomfort later. This reframes effort as relief rather than burden. Starting becomes the easier option. Consistency strengthens the impact of deadlines. One strict deadline creates urgency for a moment. Daily deadlines create discipline. Over time, the mind adapts to this structure. Action becomes automatic. Procrastination loses power because delay no longer feels safe or comfortable. Reflection enhances effectiveness. At the end of each day, review which deadlines were met and why. This builds awareness of patterns. You learn what supports action and what triggers delay. Use this insight to refine your approach. Self-awareness turns discipline into mastery. Flexibility within structure is important. Strict does not mean unrealistic. Set deadlines that challenge but do not overwhelm. Success builds confidence. Repeated failure erodes motivation. Balance ambition with practicality. Adjust deadlines as skills and capacity grow. Deadlines also protect your future self. Procrastination shifts effort to later, increasing stress and reducing quality. Completing tasks on time preserves energy and focus. You arrive at future challenges prepared rather than burdened. This proactive approach compounds over time, creating a life that feels controlled rather than chaotic. The emotional reward of meeting deadlines is significant. Each completion reinforces capability. Pride replaces guilt. Momentum replaces regret. These emotional shifts strengthen motivation and reduce avoidance. You begin to associate effort with relief and satisfaction. Strict personal deadlines cultivate respect for time. You stop treating hours as disposable. Each block of time gains purpose. This respect changes behavior. You plan more intentionally and act more decisively. Time becomes a tool rather than a source of pressure. Over time, this practice reshapes identity. You become someone who acts promptly and finishes on schedule. This identity influences choices automatically. Procrastination feels out of place because it conflicts with who you are becoming. Challenges will arise. Some days deadlines will be missed. Respond with analysis, not judgment. Identify causes and adjust. Persistence matters more than perfection. Discipline is built through repetition and correction. Ultimately, challenging procrastination through strict daily deadlines is an act of self-leadership. It is choosing structure over comfort and responsibility over avoidance. Each honored deadline strengthens discipline and confidence. Action replaces intention. Progress becomes visible. This practice does not eliminate discomfort, but it channels it productively. You trade the discomfort of starting for the satisfaction of finishing. Over time, this trade becomes natural. You act because you know the cost of delay is higher than the cost of effort. By setting and honoring strict personal deadlines daily, you reclaim control over time, attention, and direction. Procrastination loses its grip because action becomes the default. This is how momentum is built and maintained, through clear limits, decisive action, and consistent follow-through driven by respect for your own commitments. Chapter 80. Develop habits that reinforce discipline and daily consistency. Discipline is not built in moments of motivation. It is forged quietly through the habits you repeat even when no one is watching. Consistency is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a system you construct day by day. People often believe discipline requires force or intensity, but real discipline grows from simple actions done regularly. Habits are the framework that carries you forward when motivation fades. Without habits, progress depends on mood. With habits, progress becomes automatic. Daily consistency begins with understanding that your brain seeks efficiency, not excellence. It prefers patterns over decisions. Every time you rely on willpower alone, you exhaust mental energy. Habits remove the need to decide. When an action is habitual, it happens with less resistance. This is why disciplined people appear calm and steady. They are not constantly fighting themselves. Their routines do the work for them. The foundation of disciplined habits is predictability. When actions occur at the same time and in the same context, the brain accepts them as normal. This normalcy reduces friction. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking whether you feel like acting. The habit simply runs. This is how consistency becomes effortless over time. Start by anchoring habits to existing behaviors. Daily actions already in your life provide reliable cues. When a new habit follows a familiar one, it gains stability. This pairing strengthens memory and reduces forgetfulness. Over time, the two actions become linked, reinforcing discipline without conscious effort. Small habits outperform dramatic changes. When habits are manageable, resistance stays low. Consistency thrives on simplicity. A habit that feels easy is more likely to be repeated. Repetition is the true driver of discipline. Intensity may inspire for a day, but repetition shapes identity. Discipline grows when habits are clearly defined. Vague intentions weaken consistency. A specific action performed in a specific way creates clarity. Clarity reduces hesitation. When you know exactly what to do, starting becomes easier. This precision turns effort into routine. Environment plays a powerful role in habit formation. Discipline is easier when surroundings support desired behavior. Remove obstacles that create friction. Place tools and reminders where they are visible. When the environment aligns with your goals, habits reinforce themselves naturally. Tracking habits strengthens commitment. Recording completion creates accountability. It provides visual proof of progress. This proof reinforces identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who shows up daily. This self-image encourages consistency because actions align with identity. Discipline deepens through recovery, not punishment. Missed habits should be met with adjustment, not self-criticism. Analyze what disrupted consistency. Modify timing or scope. Flexibility preserves momentum. Rigidity without awareness leads to burnout. Daily consistency requires rhythm. Habits should fit your natural energy patterns. Actions aligned with energy levels feel less demanding. This alignment reduces resistance and increases follow-through. Discipline is not about forcing behavior at the wrong time. It is about working with your internal cycles. Reward matters. Habits should end with a sense of completion. Satisfaction reinforces repetition. This reward does not need to be external. The internal acknowledgement of completion is powerful. Recognizing progress strengthens commitment. Discipline compounds quietly. Each consistent day builds upon the last. Progress may feel slow at first, but momentum accumulates. Habits transform effort into growth over time. What once required focus becomes automatic. Identity evolves through habit repetition. You do not become disciplined and then act consistently. You act consistently and then become disciplined. This shift is subtle but profound. Discipline is the result, not the starting point. Daily habits also create stability during uncertainty. When external conditions change, habits provide structure. This structure supports mental clarity and emotional balance. Consistency becomes a source of confidence because it is within your control. Avoid overcrowding routines. Too many habits dilute focus. Discipline strengthens when habits are prioritized. Master a few before adding more. Depth matters more than quantity. Strong habits anchor discipline more effectively than scattered efforts. Morning and evening routines are especially influential. They frame the day. Consistent beginnings and endings create continuity. This continuity reinforces daily rhythm and reduces chaos. Structure at the edges of the day stabilizes everything in between. Discipline is reinforced when habits align with values. Meaning increases commitment. When actions reflect what matters, consistency feels purposeful. Purpose fuels endurance. Habits tied to values resist distraction and fatigue. Self-talk influences habit strength. Language shapes perception. Speak about habits as non-negotiable parts of your day. This framing reduces internal debate. The mind accepts what is stated with certainty. Patience is essential. Habits require time to solidify. Early stages may feel unnatural. Persistence through discomfort establishes permanence. Discipline is built during these early repetitions. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means returning after disruption. The ability to resume habits after interruption defines discipline. Resilience matters more than streaks. Long-term consistency survives temporary setbacks. Habits also protect focus. They reduce decision fatigue. When fewer choices are required, energy is preserved. This energy supports higher-level thinking and creativity. Discipline frees mental space. Over time, habits shift from effortful to instinctive. This transition marks true discipline. Actions occur without resistance. Consistency becomes part of who you are. Developing habits that reinforce discipline is a commitment to structure, patience, and self-respect. Each repeated action strengthens reliability. Each consistent day builds trust with yourself. Discipline emerges not from force, but from repetition guided by intention. This is how daily consistency becomes a permanent strength, shaping progress quietly and powerfully over time. Chapter 90. Take responsibility for your choices and actions immediately. The moment you take full responsibility for your choices is the moment your life stops drifting and starts moving with direction and power. Nothing accelerates growth faster than ownership. Nothing sharpens action more than refusing to hide behind excuses. Responsibility is not blame. Responsibility is clarity. It is the decision to stop waiting for circumstances to change and start changing how you respond to them. Most people delay responsibility because it feels heavy at first. They think responsibility limits freedom, but the truth is the opposite. Avoiding responsibility keeps you trapped. Taking responsibility gives you control. When you own your actions, you gain the ability to adjust them. When you own your choices, you regain authority over your future. Immediate responsibility means you do not postpone accountability. You do not wait for tomorrow to reflect. You do not wait for someone else to point out mistakes. You look directly at what you did, why you did it, and what you will do next. This habit creates speed. Delayed responsibility slows growth. Immediate responsibility builds momentum. Every outcome in your life is connected to a choice you made or avoided. Recognizing this connection removes confusion. You stop asking why things keep happening to you. You start asking what you are doing differently starting now. This shift changes everything. It turns frustration into feedback. Responsibility begins with honesty. You tell yourself the truth without softening it or exaggerating it. You do not dramatize failure and you do not minimize effort. You assess facts. This honesty removes emotional noise. Clear facts lead to clear actions. Blaming circumstances feels comforting, but it steals power. When responsibility is placed outside yourself, improvement becomes impossible. You cannot change what you do not control. By reclaiming responsibility, you reclaim influence. Influence creates progress. Immediate responsibility also means owning your reactions. You may not control events, but you control responses. Reactions shape results. Training yourself to pause and choose a response strengthens discipline. This practice builds emotional stability and mental strength. When you take responsibility quickly, problems shrink. Issues addressed early are easier to solve. Delayed ownership allows small mistakes to grow. Immediate correction prevents compounding damage. This principle applies to habits, relationships, work, and health. Responsibility strengthens self-respect. Each time you admit a mistake and correct it, trust in yourself increases. You begin to see yourself as reliable. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence fuels action. Action drives change. Taking responsibility does not mean harsh self-judgment. It means constructive self-direction. You focus on solutions rather than punishment. You ask what can be improved rather than who is at fault. This mindset supports long-term growth. Responsibility also clarifies priorities. When you own outcomes, distractions lose appeal. Time is used more deliberately. Energy is spent with intention. Discipline deepens because actions align with values. Immediate responsibility trains decisiveness. You stop overthinking. You assess and act. This reduces hesitation. Decisive action builds momentum. Momentum sustains motivation. Many people wait for certainty before taking responsibility. This is a trap. Certainty follows action, not the other way around. Responsibility taken in uncertainty builds resilience. Resilience allows progress even without perfect conditions. Ownership also improves relationships. When you admit mistakes quickly, trust strengthens. Communication becomes honest. Conflict resolves faster. Responsibility creates respect because it signals maturity. Excuses delay learning. Responsibility accelerates learning. Each owned mistake becomes a lesson. Lessons applied immediately produce growth. Growth compounds over time. Immediate responsibility sharpens focus. You stop wasting energy defending errors. You redirect that energy toward improvement. This redirection increases efficiency and effectiveness. Responsibility requires courage. It is easier to explain than to accept. It is easier to justify than to correct. Choosing ownership demands strength. That strength grows with practice. Daily responsibility becomes a habit. You review actions honestly. You adjust behaviors deliberately. This habit keeps progress aligned. Small corrections prevent large setbacks. Responsibility also builds inner calm. When you know you will face issues directly, anxiety decreases. You trust yourself to respond effectively. This trust stabilizes emotions. Taking responsibility immediately removes victim thinking. You stop seeing yourself as powerless. You recognize your role in shaping outcomes. This awareness increases motivation. Responsibility connects action to identity. You become someone who owns results. This identity reinforces discipline. Discipline supports consistency. Consistency builds achievement. Immediate ownership reduces regret. When you act promptly, fewer issues linger. Closure arrives faster. Mental clarity improves. Responsibility also improves decision quality. Knowing you will own outcomes encourages thoughtful choices. Thoughtful choices reduce errors. Reduced errors increase confidence. When responsibility becomes automatic, progress accelerates. You do not wait for feedback. You generate it through reflection. This self-feedback loop strengthens growth. Responsibility is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. Each day offers choices. Each choice offers an opportunity to lead yourself. Leadership begins internally. Taking responsibility immediately aligns action with intention. You stop drifting. You start directing. Direction transforms effort into results. This practice builds self-mastery. You respond instead of react. You correct instead of defend. You move forward instead of staying stuck. Responsibility removes noise from your life. Clarity replaces confusion. Purpose replaces hesitation. Action replaces avoidance. When you own your choices without delay, progress becomes predictable. Growth becomes consistent. Discipline becomes natural. Responsibility is the foundation of real freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to improve. Freedom to change direction when needed. The moment you stop waiting and start owning is the moment momentum begins. Immediate responsibility is not heavy. It is empowering. It places your future back into your hands where it belongs. Take responsibility now. Adjust immediately. Act deliberately. This is how control is reclaimed. This is how progress accelerates. This is how growth becomes unstoppable day by day. Chapter 100. Visualize success clearly and act to achieve it. See the future clearly in your mind and move toward it without hesitation, because action guided by vision is how ordinary effort becomes extraordinary results. Most people drift because they never decide what success truly looks like for them. They move, but without direction. Visualization is not dreaming. Visualization is choosing a clear target and training your mind to recognize the path toward it. When you visualize success clearly, you remove confusion. Your brain works best when it knows what it is aiming for. Vague goals produce weak effort. Clear outcomes create focused energy. You do not need complicated techniques. You need honesty and clarity. Ask yourself what success actually means in your daily life, not in theory, but in real terms you can see and measure. A clear vision is specific. It is not about wanting a better life. It is about knowing what a better morning looks like, how your workday flows, how your body feels, how your finances are managed, and how your time is used. When the image is clear, the mind begins to align behavior automatically. You start noticing opportunities that were always there but invisible before. Visualization works because the mind prepares the body for action. When you see yourself acting with discipline, the resistance decreases. Fear loses its edge. Doubt weakens. The brain treats repeated mental clarity as preparation. This preparation makes action feel more natural and less forced. However, visualization without action is useless. Clarity must be followed by movement. The purpose of seeing success is not comfort, it is direction. Every clear image should point toward the next physical step. Action is what gives vision weight and reality. Start by visualizing outcomes tied to effort, not fantasy. Do not picture applause or praise. Picture yourself showing up when tired. Picture yourself finishing tasks when distractions pull at you. This type of visualization builds resilience because it prepares you for reality rather than escape. Daily visualization should be grounded in the present. You are not escaping today to imagine tomorrow. You are using tomorrow to guide today. Ask what one action today brings you closer to that image. Then do it without negotiation. Clarity reduces hesitation. When you know what you want, decisions become simpler. You stop debating minor choices. Energy is conserved. Focus sharpens. This creates consistency. Visualization also strengthens discipline by reminding you why discomfort is necessary. When effort feels heavy, the image of progress renews purpose. Purpose sustains effort longer than motivation. Many people visualize outcomes but avoid visualizing the work. This creates frustration. True visualization includes the process. See yourself practicing, learning, failing, adjusting, and continuing. This prepares your mind for persistence. Action anchored to vision builds confidence. Each completed step confirms capability. Confidence grows from evidence, not hope. Evidence is created through action. Visualization also protects time. When your vision is clear, distractions stand out as irrelevant. You become selective. Selectivity improves productivity. Productivity reinforces belief. Acting on a clear vision requires decisiveness. Waiting for perfect conditions delays growth. Begin where you are with what you have. Action clarifies the next step better than planning ever will. Vision should be reviewed daily, not as a ritual but as alignment. Check if your actions match your desired direction. If they do not, adjust immediately. Small corrections prevent large deviations. Visualization sharpens patience. When progress feels slow, the long-term image keeps effort steady. You understand that meaningful change takes time. This reduces frustration and prevents quitting. Action transforms visualization into identity. You become someone who moves with intention. Identity shapes habits. Habits determine outcomes. Visualization also strengthens emotional control. When setbacks occur, the vision remains steady. You respond rather than react. This stability supports long-term focus. Avoid overloading your vision. Too many goals blur clarity. Choose a few priorities that matter most now. Depth creates results faster than spread effort. Acting on vision requires courage. Fear appears when action matters. Visualization helps you face fear by reminding you of purpose. Purpose outweighs discomfort. Vision also improves learning. When you know where you are going, feedback becomes useful. You apply lessons immediately. This accelerates improvement. If visualization is not passive, it is active mental rehearsal paired with deliberate effort. This combination trains both mind and body. Clarity creates urgency. You stop postponing because the destination matters. Urgency fuels consistency. Action guided by vision reduces regret. Even failures feel useful because they inform direction. Nothing is wasted. Visualization aligns effort with values. You pursue what matters, not what impresses others. This alignment increases satisfaction and persistence. Daily action reinforces belief. Belief strengthens effort. This loop creates momentum. Vision should evolve as you grow. Review it honestly. Adjust when necessary. Flexibility maintains relevance. Visualization also improves decision recovery. When mistakes happen, you return to the image and realign. This prevents discouragement. Action without vision exhausts. Vision without action stagnates. Together they create progress. The clearest vision is one you are willing to work for. Comfort-based images fade quickly. Effort-based images endure. Acting on vision builds self-trust. You keep promises to yourself. Self-trust strengthens discipline. Visualization reminds you that today matters. Each action contributes. Nothing is random. When vision and action align, effort feels meaningful. Meaning sustains long-term commitment. Do not wait to feel ready. Act because clarity demands movement. Readiness grows through action. Visualize success clearly. Act deliberately. Adjust continuously. This is how intention becomes achievement. Your future responds to what you do now. See it clearly. Move toward it daily. This is how progress becomes inevitable. Chapter 11 saying organize your environment to enhance productivity and focus. Change your surroundings, and you will change how your mind shows up every hour of the day. The spaces you inhabit shape your attention faster than any pep talk or productivity trick. A chaotic desk, a noisy corner, or lighting that fights your eyes all send tiny messages to your brain telling it to scatter. When you intentionally design an environment that supports deep work and steady focus, you remove friction and make disciplined action the easiest choice. This is not about perfection or trendy aesthetics. It is about practical design that makes doing the important thing obvious and effortless. Begin with the surface you use most often. Clear everything off the desk until only the essentials remain. Notice how the immediate space feels under your hands. The tactile sensation of a clean surface calms the nervous system and invites purpose. Keep a single notebook or a single device that you use for the work at hand and move everything else out of sight. Visual clutter competes with mental clarity, so limit what your eyes must process. A simple surface signals permission to begin. Control light and temperature because they affect energy in ways you rarely consider. Natural light supports alertness and improves mood. Position your workspace so daylight falls across it rather than directly into your eyes. If natural light is limited, use a bright lamp that mimics daylight during work sessions. Keep the room comfortably cool because slight coolness increases alertness, while excessive warmth promotes drowsiness. Small changes like an angled shade or a fan can drastically improve how sustained your focus feels. Sound shapes attention. Some people need silence while others work best with background noise. Experiment deliberately rather than guessing. Use noise-canceling headphones when external noise steals your momentum. Create a short playlist of neutral instrumental tracks or use ambient sound that matches the intensity you want, steady focus or creative flow. Avoid playlists that trigger emotional reactions because emotion competes with concentration. The goal is a stable auditory backdrop that supports work rather than distracts from it. Designate zones for different kinds of activity. One place for deep work, another for communication, and a separate corner for rest or casual reading makes switching tasks intentional. Your brain learns these associations and starts to enter the appropriate mode automatically when you move between zones. If you work from one physical desk, create micro zones on that desk, one side for planning and the other for execution. This separation reduces decision fatigue and speeds transitions. Make movement a part of your environment. Standing periodically or walking during thinking sessions changes physiology and improves clarity. A standing area or a place where you can pace safely helps when you need to process complex problems. Keep a small whiteboard or sticky notes on the wall where you can stand and sketch ideas. The physical act of moving while thinking often reveals solutions that remain hidden when you stay still. Remove friction for the actions you want to repeat. Keep chargers, pens, reference materials, and tools in the places you use them. Label drawers and store frequently used items within arm's reach. Conversely, move distractions out of reach or into a locked drawer during focus periods. This one, touch principle, either handle something once and put it away or put it somewhere that requires an extra step to access, reduces the number of decisions your brain must make. Control your digital environment with the same rigor. Trim your browser tabs to the ones necessary for the task and close social apps during focus blocks. Use website blockers or scheduled do not disturb modes on devices so that interruptions must cross a deliberate barrier. Organize digital folders and naming conventions so you can retrieve what you need in seconds. A messy file system steals time and attention just like a messy desk. Create visual cues that remind you of priorities. A single card with your main objective placed on the desk, a calendar with today's top 3 tasks visible, or a printed deadline taped near your monitor keeps your focus anchored. These cues should be simple and unambiguous. They act as tiny promises to yourself every time your eyes land on them. Scent and plants change atmosphere in subtle but powerful ways. A plant adds life and improves air quality, while a faint scent like citrus can increase alertness without overwhelming the senses. Avoid heavy fragrances that create associations with leisure or relaxation. The goal is a gentle nudge toward presence. Set up rituals that reset the space and your mental state between tasks. A 2-minute reset might mean closing unused tabs, clearing unrelated papers, taking 3 deep breaths, and writing the next action to take. This small ritual marks an end to distraction and a start for focused effort. Rituals are signals the mind learns quickly, and they can make transitions feel deliberate rather than accidental. Invest in ergonomics because comfort supports endurance. A comfortable chair and properly positioned screen prevent physical pain that will eventually distract you. Small physical annoyances compound into big drains on attention. Foot support, keyboard height, and screen distance matter. When your body is comfortable, the mind is free to concentrate. Schedule cleaning as a productivity habit. A weekly 10 or 15-minute tidy up of your workspace prevents clutter from returning and preserves the conditions that support focus. Make this short maintenance non-negotiable. It is as important as any meeting because it protects the system that produces your work. Control the entry points for interruptions. If you share space with others, communicate clear focus times and visible signals when you need solitude. Use a simple indicator like a closed door, a colored sign, or headphones to signal that you are in a protected block of time. Clear expectations reduce accidental disruptions and preserve momentum. Design the space so that rewards are available without derailing work. Keep a jug of water and a healthy snack within reach so basic needs do not force you to break deep focus. If you reward yourself with a short walk after a solid session, place the shoes near the door as an invitation to move rather than an obstacle you must search for. Test and iterate constantly. The environment that supports your focus today might not work next month as tasks change. Track what settings produce your best work and adjust. Notice when habits begin to decay and intervene quickly. Small tweaks like adjusting the height of a lamp or changing the time of your focus blocks can have outsized effects. Finally, treat your environment as an ally, not an ornament. Its purpose is functional excellence. When you design with utility in mind, you create conditions where discipline is habitual because the space itself makes the productive choice the path of least resistance. That consistency compounds. Stand up, clear a single corner, change a light, move one distracting item out of sight, set a 2-minute reset ritual, and watch how your next hour becomes more meaningful. Your surroundings do not create willpower for you, but they decide how easily your will can show up. Organize the space so that focus is the natural outcome and productivity stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like the expected result of a well-constructed day. Chapter 120. Reward progress consistently to maintain motivation and drive. Every forward step should be met with a deliberate reward because progress without recognition slowly loses meaning. Motivation is not a constant fuel tank. It fluctuates, drops, and needs to be refilled. Rewarding progress is not about spoiling yourself or chasing short-term pleasure. It is about creating a feedback loop that tells your brain this effort was worth it, and that repetition will pay off. When rewards are chosen with care, they become signals that reinforce the behavior you want to repeat and anchors that keep you moving when motivation wanes. Start by defining what counts as progress. Vague praise like "I did well" has little power compared with concrete milestones. Decide in advance what specific actions or results will trigger a reward. It might be finishing 3 focused work sessions, completing a challenging task, keeping a habit streak for 7 days, or reaching a measurable milestone in a long project. Clear criteria remove ambiguity and prevent the mind from bargaining for smaller undeserved rewards. Treat these criteria like simple rules you follow without negotiation. Choose rewards that strengthen rather than undermine your goals. A reward should not cancel the progress it celebrates. For example, celebrating increased energy and focus with a sugar binge defeats the purpose. Instead, pick rewards that enhance your capacity or provide meaningful pleasure without derailing momentum. Good options include a short walk outside, a favorite podcast episode, a hot shower, a 10-minute break with a book you love, a healthy snack you really enjoy, or a call with someone encouraging. These rewards recharge you without stealing momentum or creating new habits of avoidance. Make rewards immediate and tangible for small wins and more significant and memorable for larger achievements. The brain values instant feedback, so attach a small, quick reward to everyday behaviors. After a focused session, allow yourself a 5-minute break to stretch and breathe. After a week of consistency, permit a longer activity that relaxes you and recharges your focus. For major milestones, plan something meaningful such as a day trip, a course you've wanted, or a purchase that reflects your long-term values. This structure connects daily effort with longer-term fulfillment. Create a visible progress tracker and make the act of marking progress itself part of the reward. Crossing off days on a calendar, moving a bead on a string, or filling a jar with tokens produces a satisfying sensory experience. The simple motion of marking completion releases a sense of closure and reinforces routine. Place the tracker somewhere you will see it often, so each glance becomes a reminder of momentum and a small motivation boost. Use variety to maintain excitement. Repeating the exact same reward can dull its effect. Rotate small rewards weekly so they remain fresh. Change the settings for larger rewards occasionally so milestones feel special. Novelty engages the brain differently and prevents habituation. That said, keep the rotation intentional and aligned with values rather than random indulgence. Pair rewards with reflection to deepen their impact. After claiming a reward, take a minute to reflect on what you accomplished and how you did it. Notice what strategies worked and what you could improve. Gratitude for the effort made and for the result transforms the reward into a learning moment. This reflection strengthens the neural link between effort and outcome and increases the likelihood of repeating the behavior. Make sure rewards are proportionate. A tiny reward for a huge effort cheapens the achievement, and an extravagant reward for a small win sets an unsustainable precedent. Create tiers of rewards tied to the scale of the achievement. Small, consistent efforts get small, immediate rewards. Consistent streaks or completed projects earn mid-level rewards. Major milestones receive significant recognition. This scaling creates a predictable structure that both motivates and conserves resources. Introduce accountability into your reward system. Tell a trusted friend or partner about your reward plan and ask them to check in. Public commitments raise the stakes and increase follow-through. When someone else knows the rules you set, you are less likely to find excuses that bypass the system. Accountability also lets others celebrate with you, and shared recognition magnifies the emotional payoff. Use physical rituals to make claiming a reward feel real. Rituals give the brain a clear start and end point, which makes the reward psychologically satisfying. A simple ritual could be making a cup of tea before a 5-minute break, taking 3 deep breaths and stepping outside after a work block, or putting on comfortable shoes before a walk. These small ceremonies separate work from reward and create memorable sensory bookmarks that your mind learns to respond to. Avoid using punishments disguised as rewards. Withholding pleasure until you finish something can create a dual relationship with work, where you are constantly bargaining. Instead, build a system where rewards naturally follow completion and are not used as manipulation. This keeps the association between effort and positive outcomes clean and sustainable. Plan for setbacks by having a restoration reward that helps you recover without breaking the chain of progress. If you miss a target, choose a small restorative practice such as a calming bath, a short guided breathing session, or an easy creative activity that restores energy. This avoids the trap of giving up entirely after a slip and helps you return to the work with renewed clarity. Anchor rewards to sensory memories. The smell of a certain candle, the feel of a particular playlist, or the taste of a small favorite snack can create strong cues that signal completion. When repeated consistently, these sensory anchors become conditioned responses that prepare your brain to recognize accomplishment and rest afterward. Use them sparingly and intentionally so they keep their power. Document your progress in a short journal entry when you claim a reward. Write what you achieved, how it felt, and what you learned. This habit turns the reward into a data point in your growth file. Over time, you build a record of wins that strengthens confidence and helps you identify patterns that support progress. Be mindful about social rewards. Praise from others can be powerful but unstable. Rely on social recognition as a supplement rather than the core of your system. Celebrate with people who respect your goals and who reinforce the behaviors you want to grow. Avoid audiences that treat your progress as a spectacle that distracts you from repeatable action. Use anticipation to amplify the reward. Planning and looking forward to a reward increases motivation beforehand. Schedule small celebrations on your calendar and visualize enjoying them as part of the process. This anticipation becomes another layer of reinforcement that makes the work itself more tolerable. Link rewards to progress in a way that supports intrinsic motivation. Over time, shift from external treats to internal satisfaction. Teach yourself to feel pride in completion, calm after consistent effort, and increased competence as the reward. External rewards are useful in early stages, but the final aim is to cultivate inner satisfaction as the primary driver. Regularly audit your reward system to ensure it continues to serve you. Habits and values change. A reward that once fit may later distract. Adjust the list, the scale, and the timing to keep the system aligned with current goals and capacities. This keeps the structure relevant and prevents it from becoming an excuse. Finally, practice savoring. When you earn a reward, take the time to notice the sensation of satisfaction. Slow down and absorb the moment rather than rushing to the next task. Savoring increases the brain's memory of the positive feeling linked to effort and strengthens the loop between action and reward. This quiet habit creates a deep reservoir of motivation that outlasts momentary excitement. Rewarding progress is not indulgence, it is intelligent reinforcement. Use clear criteria, choose congruent rewards, scale them. Wisely combine immediate feedback with meaningful milestones, involve others selectively, and reflect on results. When rewards are structured with care, they become a reliable engine for consistency that turns small steps into lasting achievement. Chapter 13e. Seek feedback actively to improve results and efficiency. Growth accelerates the moment you stop assuming you know everything and start actively seeking feedback from those who can see what you cannot. Feedback is not criticism. It is a map showing where adjustments will produce stronger results. Waiting for perfection before asking for input keeps progress slow and inconsistent. Those who improve fastest are the ones willing to expose themselves to perspective beyond their own. Actively seeking feedback turns blind spots into opportunities and inefficiency into clarity. Begin by identifying sources of meaningful feedback. Choose people who understand the context of your work, have experience, and are honest in their observations. Feedback from someone uninformed or indifferent provides noise, not value. The right sources act as mirrors, reflecting both strengths to reinforce and weaknesses to correct. When feedback is purposeful, every comment becomes actionable, every suggestion a tool for improvement. Frame requests for feedback clearly. General questions like, "What do you think?" often produce vague answers. Specify what you want: insight on design, efficiency of process, clarity of communication, quality of execution, or effectiveness of decision-making. Clear questions lead to clear answers. This precision saves time and allows immediate application. Receive feedback with openness, not defensiveness. Even when it challenges your beliefs or exposes mistakes, treat it as data, not a judgment of your worth. Emotional reactions delay action and obscure learning. Detach identity from behavior and view suggestions as instructions for refinement. Every correction accepted without resistance becomes a step closer to mastery. Apply feedback immediately whenever possible. Knowledge without action is wasted. Each insight should translate into adjustment of behavior or strategy. Small, incremental changes compound into significant improvement. Immediate application also reinforces the value of feedback and encourages others to continue providing it. Seek multiple perspectives for a well-rounded understanding. Different people notice different aspects. Combining viewpoints allows you to see patterns rather than isolated opinions. This prevents overreacting to a single perspective and supports balanced improvement. Diversity of input increases efficiency because solutions become multidimensional and more robust. Establish a feedback schedule. Waiting for casual moments often results in inconsistent input. Proactively set weekly or monthly checkpoints with trusted sources. Structured feedback encourages regular evaluation and eliminates procrastination. Routine ensures that improvement is continuous rather than reactive. Feedback should also be measurable. Whenever possible, ask for quantifiable observations. Numbers, examples, or timelines make application clearer. Specificity accelerates learning because the next step becomes obvious. Vagueness slows progress, leaving you guessing how to adjust. Balance external feedback with self-assessment. Reflect on your own performance critically and compare it with the input received. Self-awareness amplifies the usefulness of external insight, because it aligns perception with reality. Honest reflection creates a baseline for evaluating advice, making adjustments more targeted. Use feedback to refine priorities. Suggestions often reveal where effort is misaligned with goals. Shifting focus based on constructive input saves energy and improves efficiency. Targeting the most impactful actions ensures that effort is not wasted on low-value tasks. Create a culture where feedback is welcomed rather than feared. Encourage honesty in responses by showing appreciation for insight. Reinforce that observations are used for improvement, not punishment. This openness attracts better guidance and strengthens relationships. Keep track of feedback and corresponding actions. Document observations, planned adjustments, and results. Tracking allows you to see patterns over time and measure real improvement. Without records, insights fade and lessons are lost. Documentation turns feedback into a strategic tool for long-term growth. Separate urgent corrections from long-term development. Not all feedback requires immediate action. Some suggestions indicate systemic change or skill building that takes time. Categorize feedback into actionable today and developmental over time to prioritize effectively. Feedback also reduces blind spots in efficiency. Others often notice waste, redundancy, or missed opportunities that you cannot see from inside your workflow. Recognizing these inefficiencies early prevents habits from solidifying and optimizes productivity. When implementing feedback, start with high-leverage changes. Identify the adjustments that will produce the most significant impact for the least resistance. Early wins reinforce the value of seeking input and motivate continued application. Momentum builds when change is noticeable and effective. Be intentional about timing. Seek feedback after completing a task or milestone rather than mid-action, unless guidance is required to avoid major errors. Post-completion feedback allows observation of the entire process and reduces bias. Teach yourself to discern between useful feedback and opinion disguised as advice. Not all input will be relevant. Evaluate suggestions critically and retain only what aligns with goals and principles. Filtering feedback efficiently prevents wasted effort and confusion. Pair feedback with experimentation. Testing new approaches based on guidance confirms effectiveness or identifies necessary tweaks. Treat feedback as hypotheses to validate through action. This mindset converts advice into measurable progress. Use feedback as a learning opportunity beyond immediate tasks. Analyze recurring themes in critiques to identify skill gaps, blind spots, or behavior patterns. Addressing underlying issues increases efficiency and prevents repeated mistakes. Improvement becomes systemic rather than superficial. Encourage two-way feedback. Share your observations with others and invite dialogue. This practice strengthens understanding, builds trust, and provides reciprocal growth opportunities. Engaging in conversation about feedback deepens comprehension and encourages reflection on your own practices. Recognize and reward feedback contributions. Acknowledging the effort others make to improve you strengthens relationships and motivates ongoing guidance. Gratitude reinforces collaboration and ensures continued access to valuable insights. Finally, integrate feedback into identity rather than treating it as external advice alone. Let learning from feedback shape the way you approach challenges, make decisions, and organize effort. Consistently acted upon feedback transforms behavior into habits and habits into results. Seeking feedback actively is not a passive act, it is a strategic approach to growth. Identify sources, ask clear questions, receive with openness, apply immediately, track results, prioritize high-impact changes, and refine your habits continuously. Feedback becomes a powerful engine for efficiency, skill, and sustained achievement when pursued intentionally and executed consistently. Chapter 14. Face fear directly and act despite feeling uncertain. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign, and the moment you act despite it is the moment you take control of your life. Every achievement begins with discomfort. Every breakthrough requires stepping into uncertainty. Waiting for courage to appear naturally guarantees stagnation. True courage is forged in action while fear is present, not in its absence. Acting despite doubt trains your mind to rely on willpower, clarity, and persistence rather than waiting for perfect conditions that never come. Fear is not an enemy to avoid, It is information to guide precise action and measure growth. The first step is acknowledging fear honestly. Most people ignore or suppress it, which only strengthens its influence. Identify what specifically causes the discomfort. Is it fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown? Naming the fear reduces its mystique and gives you a target to act against. Once identified, fear becomes a measurable variable rather than an overwhelming force that paralyzes decision-making. Next, break the action into a single, manageable step. The full challenge may appear daunting, but progress begins with small motion toward it. One phone call, one email, one research task, one conversation, or one repetition in practice is enough to start the chain reaction. The first step transforms abstract fear into a concrete experience. Action diminishes the unknown by turning it into a known quantity. Reframe fear as a signal of growth. When your heart races, your palms sweat, or doubt lingers, recognize it as evidence that you are pushing boundaries. Boundaries are precisely where transformation occurs. Avoiding the boundary guarantees repetition of the same results. Acting into fear builds resilience and trains the nervous system to tolerate discomfort, expanding what you consider possible. Accept uncertainty as inherent in all meaningful action. No one ever feels completely ready before tackling something important. Waiting for total clarity only delays progress. When uncertainty exists, take the next logical step anyway and evaluate as you proceed. Decisions made under uncertainty develop judgment, confidence, and adaptive capacity. Action in the face of unknowns is the fastest way to learn what works and what does not. Commit to a consistent practice of exposure. Choose small fear-inducing actions daily to strengthen your tolerance. Over time, larger fears lose their grip because repeated experience teaches that the mind can survive discomfort without catastrophe. Small victories compound into courage habits. Each instance of acting despite fear adds to a growing bank of proof that you can handle more than you believed. Mentally rehearse facing fear before taking action. Visualization reduces paralysis and increases confidence. Picture the scenario clearly, imagine the challenge, the emotional response, and the action you will take. Mentally experiencing success primes the mind to respond effectively in reality. Visualization alone is not enough, but combined with deliberate action it accelerates progress. Anchor yourself with principles rather than emotion. Emotions are transient and unpredictable, but a clear principle provides a stable compass. Decide that growth, integrity, or mastery matters more than temporary comfort. When fear threatens, remind yourself of this guiding principle. Principles transform hesitation into deliberate motion. Observe and regulate your body's response to fear. Deep breathing, posture adjustment, and purposeful movement stabilize physiology. A calm body supports a clear mind. Fear is amplified when the body reacts uncontrolled, but intentional control over posture, breathing, and pace reduces the intensity of anxiety and allows rational action to proceed. Seek accountability when facing bigger fears. Sharing your intent with someone you trust creates external reinforcement. When a second person is aware of the action you must take, social pressure reinforces courage. Accountability turns abstract courage into concrete commitment. It also provides support if action feels overwhelming. Deconstruct worst-case scenarios rationally. Fear thrives in exaggeration. List possible outcomes, the probability of each, and ways to manage them. Preparing for realistic outcomes reduces panic and clarifies the path forward. Action becomes practical rather than emotionally driven. Most feared consequences are smaller or more manageable than the mind initially assumes. Separate action from emotional comfort. Understand that growth requires leaving comfort behind. Emotional discomfort is temporary, but stagnation has long-term consequences. The mind overestimates risk and underestimates the capacity to recover. Acting while uneasy develops confidence that becomes durable and reliable. Reinforce successes with reflection. After acting despite fear, analyze the outcome honestly. What worked? What could improve? How did fear feel? And how did action alter it? Reflection cements learning and strengthens the feedback loop. You internalize lessons faster and prepare for future challenges with greater ease. Use fear as a marker for high-value action. Often what frightens you is exactly what will produce the largest growth. Avoiding fear protects comfort, but sacrifices potential. When you act into fear, you expand competence, capability, and resilience. Fear is a signal of opportunity for transformation rather than a barrier to safety. Practice gratitude for the opportunity to face fear. Seeing fear as a doorway rather than an obstacle shifts mindset from avoidance to engagement. Gratitude reframes nervous energy into purposeful energy. Each challenge faced becomes a milestone and a source of strength. Do not wait for motivation to feel right. Motivation follows action more than it precedes it. Start moving and momentum will build. Each act of bravery reduces the intensity of the next fear, creating a chain of increasing confidence and productivity. Document the experience. Writing down fears, actions taken, and results provides evidence of growth. This record reminds you that fear does not equate to inability. Reviewing these records reinforces the lesson that action produces control, knowledge, and progress. Pair fear, facing with incremental challenge. Gradually increase the difficulty or scope of fear-inducing actions. Incremental growth prevents overwhelm and solidifies courage habits. Small, consistent challenges prevent stagnation and prepare you for high-stakes situations later. Normalize discomfort as part of the process. Accept that the body and mind will resist new action. Resistance is temporary, results are lasting. Persisting through discomfort develops mastery over both emotional and practical obstacles. Surround yourself with examples of courage. Observe how others confront uncertainty and apply similar strategies in your own context. Learning from real models accelerates understanding and reduces the time it takes to develop personal confidence. Finally, act repeatedly. Courage is not a one-time decision. It is a muscle built through repetition. The more often you take purposeful action despite fear, the more naturally it flows. Action transforms fear from a barrier into a compass that guides toward growth, mastery, and freedom. Facing fear directly and acting despite uncertainty is the foundation of achievement. Identify the fear, take deliberate steps, embrace discomfort, regulate your body, apply principles, document progress, and repeat. Each step strengthens courage, builds resilience, and transforms hesitation into decisive, powerful action that drives real results. Chapter 15 Theme: Measure progress daily and adjust strategies for effectiveness. Progress is invisible until it is measured, and without measurement your effort is like shooting arrows in the dark hoping one hits the target. Tracking what you do every day transforms uncertainty into clarity and action into knowledge. When you measure progress consistently, you gain insight into what works, what slows you down, and where your energy produces the greatest results. Daily evaluation prevents wasted effort, reinforces momentum, and ensures that every action contributes toward meaningful achievement. Measurement is not a bureaucratic exercise, it is the bridge between intention and results. Start by defining the metrics that truly matter. Focus on outcomes that align with your goals rather than busy work. For personal growth, it could be the number of consistent habit streaks maintained, minutes spent in focused work, or tasks completed that directly move you toward your objectives. For business or productivity, it could include measurable outputs, response times, or efficiency percentages. Clear metrics make progress visible and actionable. Ambiguous goals create ambiguity in action, so clarity in measurement is essential. Track daily actions with honesty and precision. Record what you accomplished, how long it took, and the quality of execution. Avoid inflating effort or glossing over incomplete work. Accurate tracking creates a mirror for self-assessment and allows the mind to spot patterns of strength and weakness. Over time, the collection of data becomes a powerful narrative of your effort and improvement. Review the recorded data at the end of each day. Reflect on what went well, what obstacles appeared, and how your methods can improve tomorrow. Daily reflection keeps mistakes small and insights immediate. Waiting too long to evaluate diminishes the relevance of lessons and allows inefficiencies to persist unnoticed. Each review is an opportunity to refine the approach and optimize performance. Adjust strategies based on evidence rather than intuition alone. Data reveals what is effective and what is not. When a task consistently takes longer than planned or produces lower quality results, modify your approach. This could mean breaking it into smaller steps, allocating time differently, using a different tool, or adjusting priorities. Responsiveness to results is the fastest route to consistent improvement. Combine quantitative and qualitative measures. Numbers alone do not tell the full story. Observe how energy, focus, and satisfaction fluctuate with different actions or schedules. Qualitative insights paired with quantitative metrics provide a complete picture, guiding smarter adjustments. Efficiency without engagement or motivation produces unsustainable results, so consider both sides when evaluating daily work. Use visual tracking systems to make progress tangible. Charts, graphs, calendars, or habit trackers make achievements visible and reinforce momentum. The act of marking progress produces a small dopamine release, motivating continuation. Visualization also allows you to spot trends over time, making it easier to adjust strategies proactively rather than reactively. Set short daily checkpoints in addition to long-term goals. Breaking progress into daily increments prevents overwhelm and creates a rhythm of accountability. Completing daily checkpoints provides immediate feedback and a sense of accomplishment that fuels perseverance. The accumulation of small wins compounds into significant results, and measurement ensures these wins are recognized. Prioritize adaptability in response to measurement. Recognize that some methods may fail repeatedly despite effort. Persistence is valuable, but blind persistence is wasteful. Shifting strategies when evidence shows a better approach is not failure, it is intelligent execution. Flexibility combined with disciplined measurement accelerates progress exponentially. Record obstacles and analyze them for recurring patterns. Daily measurement is not just about success, but also about understanding barriers. Identify whether obstacles are internal, like procrastination or indecision, or external, like insufficient tools or interference. Understanding obstacles allows preemptive action, turning predictable problems into manageable adjustments. Establish benchmarks for performance. Comparing current results against previous days or a set standard helps you gauge growth accurately. Benchmarks prevent complacency and reveal hidden stagnation. Consistently exceeding benchmarks demonstrates true progress, while falling short signals the need for tactical changes. Celebrate micro successes reflected in your daily metrics. Recognizing progress reinforces the connection between effort and outcome. Even small improvements should be acknowledged because cumulative action creates larger transformation. Measurement not only guides strategy but also provides motivation through visible achievement. Integrate reflection with planning. Daily measurement should inform tomorrow's actions. Ask what should be repeated, what should be discarded, and what new experiments can be introduced. This creates a continuous loop of learning, execution, and adjustment, turning each day into a stepping stone toward mastery. Keep records simple and sustainable. Overly complicated systems for measurement drain energy and attention. Use methods that are easy to maintain consistently. Simplicity ensures continuity, and continuity ensures reliable data for evaluation and strategy adjustment. A system that is abandoned provides no benefit, so prioritize practicality alongside accuracy. Include accountability in measurement. Share progress with a mentor, coach, or peer group to add an external layer of insight and encouragement. External accountability reinforces self-reporting accuracy and increases the likelihood of following through on adjustments. Feedback from measurement complements internal reflection and accelerates improvement. Use metrics to identify high-impact actions. Daily measurement allows you to see which tasks produce the most significant results. Prioritize these actions in your planning and reduce time on low-value work. Strategic focus ensures that effort yields maximum return and accelerates progress toward objectives. Adjust time allocation based on daily results. Analyze when energy is highest and which periods are most productive. Shift demanding tasks to peak performance times and routine or lower energy tasks to slower periods. Measuring results in context of timing optimizes both efficiency and output quality. Document lessons learned alongside metrics. Recording why certain approaches succeeded or failed creates a knowledge base for future reference. Daily measurement becomes a living guide for better decision-making, reducing repeated errors and building expertise faster than trial and error alone. Review cumulative data weekly or monthly to identify long-term trends. Short-term daily measurement provides immediate insight, but trends reveal systemic issues or strengths. Long-term analysis allows strategic adjustments that align daily action with overarching goals, ensuring that progress compounds over time. Finally, make measurement a non-negotiable habit. Consistent daily evaluation transforms intention into actionable knowledge, habits into results, and effort into measurable achievement. When you measure honestly and adjust deliberately, every day becomes a learning opportunity, inefficiency is reduced, and the trajectory of growth becomes unmistakable. Measuring progress daily and adjusting strategies is the framework that converts effort into real results. Define metrics, track consistently, reflect, adjust, prioritize high-impact actions, integrate learning, and repeat. This disciplined approach ensures that action is always intelligent, targeted, and effective, creating a compounding cycle of improvement that turns small daily steps into extraordinary long-term achievement. Chapter 16: Eliminate excuses and take full control of outcomes. Excuses are the silent thieves of potential and the barrier between intention and achievement. Taking full control of your outcomes begins the moment you refuse to allow anything outside yourself to dictate your results. Every day presents choices, and every choice creates consequences. Claiming responsibility for those consequences empowers you to shape your reality rather than react to it. Excuses remove your agency, blaming circumstances, other people, or lack of resources for stalled progress. Eliminating them restores focus, energy, and clarity, converting passive desire into purposeful action. When you take complete control, the power to succeed is no longer external, it becomes an internal constant. Start by identifying the excuses you rely on most. Notice patterns in your thinking. I don't have enough time, I'm not ready, or conditions aren't perfect. These statements disguise fear, hesitation, or discomfort and keep you immobilized. Recognizing them is the first step toward breaking their hold. Awareness alone disrupts the automatic habit of rationalizing inaction, opening space for deliberate choice. Challenge each excuse with objective truth. Ask yourself if it genuinely prevents action or simply makes action inconvenient. Most barriers exist in perception rather than reality. Time, resources, and skill are rarely perfect, yet people achieve extraordinary results by using what is available. Examine what can be done today despite limitations and act on that. This mindset turns obstacles into opportunities for creativity and resourcefulness. Replace excuses with accountability statements. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I will find a way. Instead of, it's not possible, say, I will explore options. This language shifts responsibility from external conditions to internal strategy. Words shape mindset, and consistent use of empowering language transforms hesitation into initiative. Take immediate ownership of mistakes and shortcomings. When outcomes are below expectation, resist blaming circumstances or others. Ask what could have been done differently and implement changes. This habit prevents stagnation, accelerates learning, and builds resilience. Each acknowledgement of personal responsibility strengthens the habit of proactive control. Set non-negotiable standards for action. Decide in advance that effort, preparation, and follow-through will be executed regardless of convenience or mood. Non-negotiable standards remove the ability to rationalize excuses because the rules apply consistently. Discipline thrives when action is anchored to principle rather than comfort. Create a list of areas in life where excuses dominate. For each, write a counter strategy, the specific action you will take to remove the barrier and produce results. Seeing the plan in writing transforms vague intentions into tangible steps. Action without planning is inconsistent. Planning without action is wasted. Combining both ensures execution. Use time deliberately to reduce opportunity for excuses. Planning your day, assigning priorities, and creating focused blocks for critical tasks leaves little room for rationalization. When every hour is purposeful, excuses are exposed as unnecessary distractions. Structured time reinforces control over outcomes by reducing chaos that excuses thrive on. Monitor progress closely and honestly. Reflect each day on the commitments you honored and those avoided. When you observe excuses influencing behavior, document them and explore the underlying reasons. Awareness combined with reflection turns passive avoidance into actionable insight. This iterative process gradually eliminates habitual rationalizations. Surround yourself with examples of accountability. Engage with people who take ownership of their actions, who honor commitments, and who confront challenges without complaint. Observing their behavior provides a model to emulate and subtly reinforces your own commitment to eliminating excuses. Environment shapes behavior. Selective exposure accelerates change. Develop a proactive problem-solving mindset. Whenever an obstacle arises, immediately identify a solution rather than defaulting to justification. Break challenges into small actionable steps. Each solution-oriented action diminishes the power of excuses and builds confidence in your ability to influence outcomes. Repeated application strengthens a habit of initiative rather than rationalization. Anticipate common excuses in advance and neutralize them. If fatigue often prevents evening work, adjust the schedule to productive hours. If resources seem lacking, prepare alternatives beforehand. Preemptive planning transforms predictable barriers into managed variables. When excuses have been considered and addressed proactively, they lose their ability to control your behavior. Use accountability partners to enforce consistency. Sharing goals with someone else increases the stakes of inaction. Peer or mentor accountability exposes rationalizations and motivates execution. When another person is aware of your responsibilities, avoidance is less likely and follow through more certain. Social reinforcement complements internal commitment. Celebrate self-mastery, not perfection. Eliminating excuses is a process. Recognize every instance where you acted despite rationalizations or hesitation. Each small victory reinforces the principle that control over outcomes rests within your hands. Over time, repeated practice turns deliberate responsibility into an automatic habit, requiring less conscious effort. Integrate feedback loops into your daily routine. Review successes and setbacks objectively, noting where excuses slipped in and how you responded. Adjust strategies accordingly. This practice creates a dynamic system of continuous self-correction, keeping you accountable to yourself and ensuring that learning from each experience enhances future control. Anchor yourself with purpose. Remind yourself why the outcomes matter. Excuses lose their grip when there is a clear, compelling reason for action. Purpose aligns effort with meaning, transforming mundane tasks into deliberate steps toward a larger vision. When motivation is clear, rationalizations lose relevance and urgency drives action. Develop self-discipline rituals that reduce reliance on willpower alone. Small, consistent practices such as planning the day, reviewing goals, and setting immediate action priorities reinforce the ability to act without waiting for motivation. Ritualized behavior makes execution automatic and reduces the cognitive space excuses can occupy. Use obstacles as training grounds for mastery. Each challenge presents a scenario to exercise control. When an unexpected barrier appears, resist the impulse to justify inaction. Instead, analyze, plan, and act decisively. Repeated confrontation with obstacles without excuses strengthens confidence, resourcefulness, and problem-solving skills. Visualize outcomes that are fully owned by your effort. Picture results achieved because you refused to rationalize, delayed nothing, and acted decisively. This mental rehearsal reinforces the internal locus of control and motivates consistent behavior. Visualization bridges intention and action, converting abstract goals into tangible possibilities. Reinforce habits through daily review. Each night reflect on what excuses were resisted, what commitments were kept, and where improvement is possible. This daily review magnifies awareness and accelerates behavioral change. Consistency in reflection ensures that control over outcomes becomes habitual rather than occasional. Finally, make the elimination of excuses a non-negotiable principle. Commit to full responsibility for actions and results. Understand that every outcome, positive or negative, is a product of your choices and decisions. Taking ownership empowers deliberate action, fuels personal growth, and transforms every challenge into an opportunity to assert control over your life. Excuses lose all power when your identity is anchored in accountability, resilience, and purposeful execution. Eliminating excuses and taking full control of outcomes is the ultimate act of self-empowerment. Recognize rationalizations, confront them, plan proactively, act decisively, monitor results, adjust strategies, and repeat. Every day that excuses are removed, confidence rises, efficiency improves, and the trajectory of success becomes undeniably yours. Chapter 17a. Build momentum by completing one productive action repeatedly. Momentum is not created by grand gestures or sudden bursts of effort. It is built through repeated, deliberate action that compounds over time and transforms intention into unstoppable progress. Every small productive step, when executed consistently, lays a foundation for greater achievement. The key is not to do everything at once, but to choose one meaningful action and commit to performing it daily until it becomes automatic. Consistency creates energy, clarity, and confidence, and once momentum exists, tasks that once felt difficult begin to feel manageable, and success starts to accelerate naturally. Start by identifying the single action that has the highest impact on your goals. Focus on one task that moves the needle, whether it is writing a page, making a phone call, exercising, or reviewing your plan. Avoid scattering effort across too many fronts. Repeated performance of one productive action concentrates energy and prevents overwhelm, creating measurable progress that reinforces commitment and motivation. Clarity in choosing the right action ensures that momentum is built on meaningful movement rather than busy work. Commit to performing this action at the same time or under the same conditions each day. Creating a routine transforms deliberate effort into habit. Habits eliminate the need for daily negotiation with yourself, reducing the influence of doubt, procrastination, or mood on performance. Momentum thrives when the behavior is predictable and reinforced by repetition. The act of doing something consistently strengthens discipline and gradually rewires your mind to expect completion, making follow-through automatic. Focus fully during each execution of the action. Half-hearted effort slows progress and reduces the reinforcing effect of repetition. Concentrated attention amplifies results, deepens learning, and creates a sense of satisfaction that fuels the desire to continue. Even a small action, when performed with full intention, produces compounding benefits over time. The quality of each repetition matters as much as frequency. Use measurement to reinforce momentum. Track the completion of each action in a journal, app, or visual chart. Seeing consistent progress builds a psychological and practical sense of accomplishment, which makes the next repetition easier to initiate. Daily tracking prevents stagnation, maintains accountability, and makes patterns visible, allowing for refinement of the action or adjustment of technique to optimize results. Combine repetition with reflection. After each execution, pause briefly to note what worked, what can improve, and how it contributes to your overall goal. Reflection strengthens learning, increases awareness of subtleties, and ensures that repeated action does not become rote or mechanical. Momentum is strengthened when repetition is purposeful, informed, and continually refined. Anticipate obstacles that could disrupt consistency. Identify potential distractions, emotional resistance, or logistical barriers that might prevent execution. Plan for ways to overcome each challenge, whether it is adjusting timing, preparing tools in advance, or setting reminders. Preemptive strategies reduce friction and protect momentum from being interrupted by predictable obstacles. Gradually increase the intensity or scope of the action once consistency is established. Momentum grows when small wins accumulate, allowing you to handle greater challenges with the same disciplined approach. Scaling effort should be deliberate and incremental to prevent burnout, ensuring that progress remains sustainable and compoundable. Each incremental increase strengthens capability and confidence. Recognize the psychological power of repeated completion. Each successful execution reinforces your belief in your ability to act and achieve. Confidence builds through evidence, not hope. Momentum is both a physical and mental phenomenon. The more you prove to yourself that you can act consistently, the more willing you are to take additional productive actions, expanding your capacity for achievement. Anchor momentum in purpose rather than merely routine. Understand why the action matters and how it contributes to larger goals. Purpose transforms repetitive effort from mechanical motion into meaningful progression. When action is connected to vision, each repetition carries weight, and the resulting momentum is sustainable because it is fueled by intrinsic motivation. Use accountability to reinforce repetition. Share your commitment with a mentor, colleague, or friend who can monitor and encourage consistency. External reinforcement increases the likelihood that you will maintain action even when internal motivation wanes. Social accountability strengthens the habit loop and keeps momentum moving forward. Incorporate rewards strategically. Celebrate small milestones achieved through consistent action. Rewarding completion reinforces behavior and creates positive association with disciplined effort. Momentum accelerates when the mind anticipates satisfaction from repeated achievement, making it easier to continue even under challenge or fatigue. Break larger objectives into repetitive daily actions. Massive goals often feel overwhelming, but dividing them into small, achievable, and repeatable actions converts ambition into reality. Each day's repetition becomes a building block that compounds over time, transforming what once seemed impossible into attainable milestones. Repetition is the engine that converts long-term vision into incremental, tangible steps. Be resilient when interruptions occur. Momentum will inevitably face disruptions due to unforeseen circumstances. Treat these moments as temporary setbacks rather than failure. Return immediately to the repeated action and rebuild consistency without guilt or hesitation. Momentum grows stronger when discipline persists despite disruption. Visualize the cumulative effect of repeated action. Imagine the progress you will make after days, weeks, or months of consistent effort. Visualization strengthens commitment, reinforces motivation, and makes the long-term benefits of repetition more tangible and emotionally compelling. Seeing the trajectory of your momentum in advance increases the likelihood of sustained action. Pair momentum with focus on one priority at a time. Avoid diluting effort by attempting to repeat multiple actions simultaneously. Concentrated repetition amplifies the compounding effect, creating a foundation of competence and confidence that can later support additional priorities. Sequential mastery ensures that momentum builds steadily rather than dissipating across scattered efforts. Document each stage of momentum. Recording progress, reflections, challenges, and adjustments creates a living map of achievement. Reviewing this record reinforces the sense of growth, identifies areas for improvement, and ensures that repeated action remains purposeful and directed rather than habitual without impact. The record itself serves as a source of motivation, proof, and clarity. Use momentum to drive additional productive behaviors. Once confidence and consistency are established through repetition, leverage the energy to tackle other meaningful actions. Momentum is transferable. The force generated by one repeated action can catalyze further achievements, creating a chain reaction of growth and efficiency. Maintain awareness of the emotional benefits of repeated productive action. Each completion produces a sense of accomplishment, reduces stress, and strengthens self-efficacy. Over time, the accumulation of small successes generates resilience and a sense of agency that reinforces persistence in the face of challenges. Momentum is as much psychological as it is practical. Finally, commit to repetition with discipline and purpose. Momentum is not a one-time event. It is a process built by daily execution, reflection, and adjustment. Each productive action completed consistently adds weight to your progress, compounds over time, and accelerates your capacity to achieve. By choosing one meaningful action, repeating it deliberately, and refining it continuously, you create unstoppable forward motion, transforming small, consistent efforts into extraordinary results. Building momentum through repeated productive action is the mechanism that turns intention into achievement. Select one high-impact action, commit to consistent execution, track progress, reflect, scale thoughtfully, and maintain focus. Every repetition strengthens skill, discipline, and confidence, creating a compounding cycle of progress that carries you from small steps to significant accomplishment. Chapter 18E. Surround yourself with people who inspire and challenge you. The people you spend your time with shape the person you become, and surrounding yourself with those who inspire and challenge you accelerates growth in ways effort alone cannot achieve. Every conversation, interaction, and shared experience leaves a subtle imprint on your thinking, habits, and ambition. Choosing to engage with individuals who push boundaries, demonstrate discipline, and exemplify excellence creates an environment where your own potential is demanded and realized. Inspiration sparks motivation, but challenge fuels resilience, and together they form the crucible in which your highest performance is forged. To grow exponentially, your social circle must reflect the qualities you aspire to embody. Begin by evaluating the influence of your current relationships. Consider who lifts your energy, expands your perspective, and holds you accountable, versus who drains motivation, fosters negativity, or encourages complacency. The people around you are mirrors and magnets for your own behavior. Their habits, beliefs, and standards subtly shape your daily choices. Awareness of this influence allows deliberate selection of companions who will elevate your standards rather than limit them. Growth cannot thrive in an environment dominated by apathy or mediocrity. Prioritize quality over quantity in relationships. A few highly driven, intelligent, and supportive individuals are far more valuable than a large network of casual acquaintances. Deep connections with people who inspire and challenge provide consistent exposure to excellence, create opportunities for meaningful collaboration, and establish a support system for navigating difficulty. Surrounding yourself with such individuals creates both push and pull forces. Push to reach higher, pull to model proven success. Engage actively with mentors and role models who exemplify the results you aspire to achieve. Observe not only their outcomes but their processes, discipline, decision-making, and mindset. Ask thoughtful questions, seek guidance, and apply insights to your own actions. Mentorship accelerates learning because it allows you to benefit from the experience, failures, and wisdom of someone who has already navigated paths you aim to follow. The presence of a mentor turns abstract goals into concrete strategies. Seek peers who challenge your thinking. Healthy confrontation and differing perspectives prevent stagnation and broaden understanding. When ideas are questioned, you are forced to clarify, defend, or improve your approach, which strengthens judgment and strategic thinking. People who challenge you encourage critical thinking, reduce blind spots, and foster adaptive decision-making. Growth is stagnant without challenge, and those who provoke constructive debate push you to evolve. Join communities that align with your ambitions. Professional networks, study groups, accountability circles, or social organizations with high standards provide consistent exposure to like-minded individuals committed to progress. Shared goals within these communities amplify motivation and create a feedback loop of encouragement, insight, and challenge. When surrounded by people pursuing excellence, mediocrity feels uncomfortable and effort becomes a standard rather than an option. Eliminate or minimize contact with individuals who discourage ambition or normalize complacency. Toxic influences, chronic negativity, or constant distraction erode focus and energy. Removing or limiting these interactions frees mental space and emotional energy for meaningful relationships. The absence of negative influence allows your own drive to flourish unimpeded, and your standards are no longer compromised by external complacency. Foster accountability through relationships. Share objectives and commitments with people who will monitor your progress and provide honest feedback. Accountability ensures consistency in effort and creates a sense of obligation beyond internal motivation. When others expect performance, excuses lose influence, and action becomes inevitable. Surrounding yourself with accountable peers strengthens discipline and reinforces commitment to outcomes. Collaborate with individuals whose strengths complement your weaknesses. Strategic partnerships expand capability and accelerate results. Working with people who bring different skills, perspectives, and experiences challenges you to adapt, learn, and improve. Collaboration creates an environment where combined effort produces exponential results, and the demands of mutual responsibility encourage personal excellence. Be open to constructive criticism. People who inspire and challenge you will point out limitations and opportunities for improvement. Receiving feedback without defensiveness is essential for growth. Each critique is a tool for refinement and a prompt to elevate performance. The ability to integrate criticism demonstrates maturity and a commitment to continuous improvement, which is accelerated in the presence of high-performing peers. Observe the habits and routines of those around you. Excellence is contagious when practiced consistently. Daily exposure to disciplined schedules, productive habits, and intentional decision-making creates subtle conditioning that influences your own behavior. Modeling the processes of high achievers allows you to internalize strategies that produce consistent results. Inspiration becomes practice when you witness it repeatedly in action. Create opportunities for meaningful dialogue with influential individuals. Conversations that explore challenges, ideas, and experiences provide insight that cannot be gained in isolation. Question, listen actively, and apply lessons to your own context. Interaction with high-performing individuals bridges the gap between theory and practice, transforming abstract ambition into actionable understanding. Encourage mutual growth. Inspire and challenge others while being inspired and challenged yourself. Reciprocal relationships foster accountability, trust, and deeper learning. Teaching, advising, and supporting peers reinforces your own knowledge and strengthens connections. The environment of challenge becomes a two-way process, and growth is amplified when everyone contributes to raising standards. Set boundaries that protect your time and energy. Surrounding yourself with inspiring and challenging people requires intentional investment in relationships that matter. Discourage engagements that drain focus, create unnecessary conflict, or dilute effort. Clear boundaries prioritize meaningful interactions and create space for consistent exposure to growth-oriented influences. Celebrate progress and achievement within your circle. Recognizing the success of those around you reinforces motivation, builds trust, and strengthens the collective standard of excellence. Shared celebration fosters a positive culture where ambition is respected and consistent effort is modeled as the path to success. Inspiration grows when accomplishment is acknowledged and valued communally. Immerse yourself in environments that elevate thinking. Conferences, workshops, seminars, and communities of high performers expose you to ideas, strategies, and behaviors that challenge complacency. The energy of driven individuals heightens your own engagement and commitment. Momentum is supported when physical and social surroundings reinforce the behavior and mindset required for growth. Evaluate relationships regularly. As your goals and standards evolve, ensure that the people you spend time with continue to provide challenge and inspiration. Remove stagnant connections and seek new relationships aligned with your developing ambitions. Continuous curation of your social environment ensures it remains a catalyst for progress rather than a limitation. Adopt curiosity and a learning mindset in every interaction. Engage deeply with those who inspire and challenge you by asking questions, observing responses, and integrating insights into daily practice. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to refine perspective, expand knowledge, and strengthen capability. A growth mindset maximizes the influence of every relationship. Recognize that your network is an extension of your personal standards. The caliber of people you allow close contact with reflects your values, priorities, and self-expectations. Elevating your associations elevates your behavior naturally. Excellence is reinforced socially as well as internally, and your environment becomes a mirror of the person you aim to become. Finally, commit to continuous social refinement. Surround yourself consistently with individuals who inspire action, demand discipline, and broaden vision. Monitor influence, nurture relationships that challenge you, and distance from those that stagnate growth. Every relationship is an investment in your own progress, and your social environment should amplify ambition, accountability, and achievement at every level. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire and challenge you is a deliberate strategy for accelerated growth. Choose relationships carefully, cultivate meaningful connections, seek mentorship, embrace constructive challenge, foster accountability, and continuously refine your social environment. The energy, knowledge, and standards of those around you become a multiplier for your own performance, creating a life where potential is realized, goals are achieved, and excellence is inevitable. Chapter 19a. Reflect on failures and take immediate corrective action. Failure is not a signal to stop, but a signal to analyze, learn, and take immediate action that transforms setback into progress. Every unsuccessful attempt contains information that, if understood and applied, accelerates growth and sharpens judgment. Reflecting on failure requires honesty, discipline, and emotional resilience, and pairing reflection with swift corrective action turns mistakes into stepping stones rather than obstacles. The difference between stagnation and advancement is not the presence of failure, but the willingness to confront it directly and adjust without delay. Immediate corrective action reinforces responsibility, sharpens focus, and prevents repetition of errors, creating a cycle of rapid improvement. Start by examining the outcome with complete honesty. Remove excuses and emotional bias, and look purely at what occurred versus what was intended. Identify specific actions, decisions, or assumptions that contributed to the result. Breaking failure into its components transforms it from a vague disappointment into concrete data. Awareness of exact causes is essential because only understanding the mechanics of a mistake allows effective correction. Reflection is not self-punishment, it is strategic evaluation. Ask what could have been done differently at every stage. Consider alternative approaches, timing adjustments, resource allocation, and decision-making processes. Each failed action provides multiple learning opportunities when dissected thoughtfully. By exploring possibilities, you create a toolkit of options that can prevent repetition of the same missteps. Learning from failure is an active, not passive, process. Document insights immediately. Write down the causes, observations, and potential corrective actions in a structured manner. A written record transforms fleeting realizations into actionable plans and serves as a reference for future decisions. Documentation also externalizes thinking, making patterns visible and reinforcing accountability. Clarity emerges when reflection is organized and tangible rather than scattered or superficial. Take corrective action without delay. Procrastination after failure amplifies the negative impact and allows habits of inaction to strengthen. Implement the insights gained as soon as possible, adjusting methods, techniques, or decisions to align with the lessons learned. Immediate application consolidates understanding and converts knowledge into skill. Action reinforces learning, and delay undermines progress. Focus on controllable elements. Failure often includes variables outside your influence, but improvement comes from mastering the aspects you can affect. Identify what is within your control and adjust it decisively. This mindset prevents wasted energy on unchangeable factors and channels effort into areas that yield measurable impact. Corrective action is effective only when it addresses actionable components of the failure. Adopt a problem-solving perspective. Treat each failure as a challenge rather than a defeat. Analyze systematically, explore solutions, and implement the most effective adjustments. Viewing failure as an opportunity for refinement changes emotional response, replacing frustration with determination. A solution-focused approach ensures energy is directed toward improvement rather than regret. Establish accountability for your actions. Recognize that failure is often a result of your decisions and behaviors. Accepting responsibility strengthens the commitment to corrective measures and prevents repeating mistakes. Accountability transforms passive experience into active learning. When reflection is coupled with ownership, each setback becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. Create specific, measurable steps for correction. Identify small but impactful adjustments that can be executed immediately. Break corrective measures into actionable tasks to avoid ambiguity and ensure progress. Clear steps provide direction, prevent paralysis, and accelerate recovery from failure. Measurable actions allow evaluation of effectiveness and reinforce a sense of control. Use feedback from others strategically. Seek observations, guidance, and constructive critique from those with experience or insight. External perspectives can illuminate blind spots and suggest solutions that might not be apparent alone. Combining self-reflection with external input creates a comprehensive understanding of failure and strengthens corrective strategy. Collaborative reflection multiplies learning potential. Maintain emotional balance throughout the process. Failure often triggers frustration, self-doubt, or anxiety, which can cloud judgment. Approach reflection calmly, focusing on facts and practical solutions rather than emotions. Emotional regulation ensures clarity in identifying the cause and planning action. Composure reinforces disciplined decision-making and enhances the effectiveness of corrective measures. Prioritize failures that have the highest impact on your goals. Not all mistakes carry equal weight, and focusing on those that affect critical outcomes ensures efficient use of time and effort. Correcting high-impact errors first produces the most significant improvement and reinforces momentum. Strategic prioritization amplifies the benefits of reflection and action. Track outcomes after implementing corrective measures. Monitor changes, assess results, and adjust further if necessary. Continuous evaluation ensures that solutions are effective and prevents recurrence of mistakes. Reflection combined with follow-up action creates a feedback loop that strengthens competence and accelerates mastery. Monitoring progress validates effort and builds confidence. Develop resilience through repeated practice of reflection and correction. Each cycle of failure, insight, and adjustment strengthens adaptability and enhances decision-making under pressure. Repeated exposure to challenges with immediate response builds mental toughness and reinforces the habit of proactive improvement. Resilience is cultivated by consistent engagement with lessons embedded in setbacks. Visualize the desired outcome after correction. Picture the new approach in action and the anticipated success. Visualization reinforces commitment to the corrective plan and primes execution. When mental rehearsal is aligned with actionable steps, the probability of success increases and confidence grows. Seeing success as achievable motivates decisive implementation. Learn to detach identity from failure. Failure does not define competence or worth. It identifies areas for development. Separating personal identity from outcomes allows objective analysis and prevents emotional paralysis. Reflection becomes focused, actionable, and constructive rather than self-critical. Maintaining perspective is essential for effective corrective action. Integrate corrective habits into routine. Establish a practice of daily review and evaluation of actions, identifying minor errors before they escalate. Habitual reflection and adjustment minimize the cumulative impact of mistakes and build continuous improvement. Daily discipline converts episodic learning into systemic growth. Momentum develops when correction becomes habitual. Anticipate future failures using lessons learned. Recognize patterns, triggers, or tendencies that have led to mistakes in the past and develop strategies to prevent recurrence. Proactive anticipation reduces the frequency and severity of setbacks. Reflection is not only backward-looking but forward-planning, strengthening decision-making and reducing unnecessary repetition of errors. Celebrate successful corrections. Acknowledge when changes yield improvement and progress. Recognition reinforces behavior, solidifies learning, and motivates continued diligence. Small wins from effective corrective action build confidence, reinforce habit, and create a positive feedback loop that encourages persistence. Finally, commit to a mindset where reflection and immediate corrective action are automatic responses to setbacks. Every failure is an opportunity, every mistake a teacher, and every immediate adjustment a step toward mastery. By reflecting carefully, analyzing deliberately, and acting swiftly, failure becomes a tool for consistent improvement rather than a source of frustration. This disciplined approach transforms challenges into progress, ensures continuous growth, and builds the resilience required to achieve lasting success. Reflection and immediate corrective action is the cornerstone of continuous self-improvement. Examine outcomes honestly, identify actionable causes, plan measurable solutions, implement without delay, track progress, integrate feedback, and maintain emotional balance. Each failure becomes a lesson, each adjustment a step forward, and through disciplined application, mistakes evolve into the engine that propels achievement, capability, and mastery. Chapter 2. Persist relentlessly even when results are slower than expected. Success does not arrive on a schedule, and progress is often slower than expectation, but relentless persistence turns steady effort into extraordinary achievement. Every step, even when results seem minimal, compounds over time, building a foundation that eventually produces outcomes far beyond initial anticipation. The key is to continue acting decisively and consistently, even when the visible impact feels small or delayed. Immediate gratification is rare for meaningful goals, yet those who endure through slow progress ultimately claim results that others abandon. Persistence is not a passive waiting game, it is deliberate, disciplined, and unyielding action toward long-term objectives regardless of apparent speed. Understand that slow results are a natural part of any significant journey. Growth, skill acquisition, and meaningful accomplishment rarely occur instantly. Immediate results are the exception, not the norm. When progress is delayed, it is an opportunity to strengthen resilience, refine strategy, and deepen commitment. Recognizing the normal pace of progress prevents discouragement and fosters a mindset that embraces endurance as a key factor in achievement. Focus on the actions you can control rather than the pace of outcomes. Effort, consistency, and discipline are within your control, while timing, external circumstances, and other variables are not. By concentrating on controllable inputs, you maintain a sense of agency and reduce frustration. Persistence is sustained when effort becomes habitual and independent of immediate results. Action is the fuel of progress, and consistent action ensures that eventual results will reflect the investment made. Break long-term goals into measurable short-term steps. Tracking incremental progress, no matter how minor, reinforces persistence and builds a sense of achievement. Even small daily wins accumulate into significant advancement over time. Recognizing incremental progress strengthens motivation and prevents discouragement from slower than expected outcomes. The perception of movement, however subtle, validates continued effort. Strengthen mental endurance by reframing slow results as part of the process rather than a setback. Slow progress often reflects growth happening beneath the surface, skills developing, understanding deepening, systems solidifying. Maintaining perspective allows patience without sacrificing intensity of effort. Endurance is cultivated when action continues despite apparent delay, and this mindset separates those who succeed from those who quit prematurely. Use consistency as a strategic advantage. Persistent effort, even in the absence of rapid results, demonstrates discipline that compounds and amplifies over time. The person who acts daily, adjusts when needed, and remains committed creates a cumulative effect that accelerates impact once external factors align. Momentum is often invisible in early stages, but grows silently and powerfully with continuous persistence. Evaluate and refine your approach without abandoning commitment. Slow results may indicate inefficiencies, incomplete execution, or missed opportunities. Reflection combined with ongoing action ensures that persistence is intelligent and adaptive rather than blind repetition. By analyzing performance, adjusting methods, and remaining consistent, effort is optimized while maintaining the forward motion that eventually produces tangible outcomes. Anchor persistence in purpose and vision. Remind yourself regularly of the reasons behind your goals and the long-term benefits you seek. Purpose fuels endurance and transforms the frustration of slow results into a meaningful journey. When actions are grounded in personal vision, the pace of results becomes secondary to alignment with long-term objectives. Persistence becomes a deliberate expression of commitment rather than a reaction to immediate feedback. Maintain emotional balance through periods of slow progress. Discouragement, doubt, and impatience are natural responses, but they can undermine continued effort if unchecked. Cultivating composure, optimism, and self-belief strengthens resilience and allows persistence to remain steady despite external appearances. Emotional stability ensures that action is not compromised by frustration, and momentum continues even when immediate success is not visible. Seek inspiration from examples of long-term persistence. Study individuals or organizations that achieved remarkable results over extended periods despite slow initial progress. Recognize that delayed success is common in meaningful pursuits, and persistence was the distinguishing factor. Learning from these examples reinforces belief in the value of endurance and provides practical strategies for maintaining effort. Leverage incremental feedback to sustain motivation. Slow results provide subtle signals about what works, what needs adjustment, and which areas require greater focus. Treat these cues as progress indicators rather than failures. Persistent action combined with attentive observation allows continuous refinement and ensures that eventual outcomes are informed by accumulated learning. Reinforce habits that support sustained effort. Develop routines, schedules, and environments that make consistent action easier and automatic. When persistence is embedded in daily practice, reliance on fluctuating motivation diminishes. Habits transform endurance from a struggle into a structural advantage, allowing progress to continue regardless of mood, energy, or temporary obstacles. Visualize long-term outcomes and the cumulative effect of daily effort. Imagining the eventual impact of sustained persistence enhances commitment, clarifies priorities, and reduces discouragement from immediate slowness. Mental rehearsal strengthens focus and reinforces the importance of continuing action. Visualization aligns effort with purpose and transforms perception of delayed results into a natural part of the path to achievement. Use accountability to maintain momentum. Share objectives, progress, and timelines with individuals who can provide support, feedback, or encouragement. Accountability increases commitment to daily action and reduces the likelihood of abandoning effort when progress appears slow. Social reinforcement amplifies persistence by adding external expectation to internal discipline. Recognize the compounding nature of consistent effort. Even when results seem minimal, the accumulation of small actions over time creates exponential impact. Persistence transforms repeated effort into leverage that accelerates results beyond initial estimates. Understanding this principle reduces frustration and reinforces the value of continuing without interruption. Prepare mentally for periods of stagnation. Accept that growth is not always linear, and plateaus are common in any significant endeavor. Persistence through plateaus is critical because it is during these periods that foundations are strengthened, skills are consolidated, and resilience is tested. Consistent action during slow phases ensures readiness for breakthroughs when conditions align. Celebrate minor achievements along the way. Recognizing small wins reinforces the habit of persistence and provides psychological fuel for continued effort. Motivation is maintained when even subtle progress is acknowledged, keeping energy directed toward long-term objectives. Positive reinforcement strengthens endurance and reduces the impact of slow visible results. Maintain flexibility in approach while sustaining commitment to outcomes. Adaptation is necessary to navigate unforeseen challenges and optimize performance, but the underlying persistence toward the goal remains non-negotiable. Flexibility ensures that effort remains effective while endurance preserves forward motion. Persistent action combined with strategic adjustment creates a resilient path to success. Cultivate patience as an active component of persistence. Patience is not passive waiting, it is disciplined endurance, acceptance of process, and consistent execution despite external pace. The combination of persistence and patience allows progress to continue uninterrupted, and when results eventually manifest, the impact is magnified by the duration and consistency of effort. Finally, commit to unwavering persistence regardless of speed of results. Focus on deliberate daily actions, maintain discipline, refine approach when necessary, and sustain belief in eventual success. Relentless action, grounded in purpose and reinforced by incremental improvement, ensures that slow progress never becomes a reason to quit. True achievement belongs to those who continue steadily when others abandon hope, transforming consistent effort into extraordinary outcomes. Relentless persistence is the ultimate multiplier of effort. Continue acting decisively, focus on controllable inputs, embrace the process, refine strategy intelligently, and maintain composure. Every repeated step, even when progress is slow, accumulates into momentum that drives extraordinary achievement. Persistence transforms patience, discipline, and repeated action into success that outlasts expectation and surpasses early limitations.